from Skydome in Toronto, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Toronto Argonauts, on CFL Live. Interactive here at TSN. Email us with your questions and comments at cfl@tsn.ca. And welcome to CFL Live. I'm Rod Smith. We begin week number 9, yes, approaching the halfway mark of the Canadian Football League regular season. And through the first 8 weeks, only 2 teams have managed to beat the defending Grey Cup champs. Calgary a couple of weeks ago, and back on July the 12th, you saw a little bit in the opening. The Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the Toronto Argonauts by 4 points. Joined, of course, by the capable panel of Bob Obilovich, Les Brown, and Marty York of the Globe and Mail. You know, we were all talking about Saskatchewan's defense at the start of this season, how good it looked to be with the personnel that it had. However, things have changed a little bit, especially after last week's loss against the BC Lions. With more on that, let's head to Skydome and join Gord Miller and Lee Pedersen.
Rod, the story of the first game between these two teams was defense. Namely, Saskatchewan's defense getting after Doug Flutie. The key play in the game came in the first half, turned in by linebacker K.D. Williams, who intercepted this Doug Flutie pass and went 30 yards for a touchdown. Flutie was frustrated in the game. He had a bad toe, but more than that, he was sacked. He had passes knocked down. He had miscommunication with his receiver, and the Saskatchewan defense really carried the day. But, Leaf, we talked about it at the start of the year. The Saskatchewan defense would set the tone for this team. Maybe the Toronto game was the exception rather than the rule.
Well, that was week 3 of the season, Gord, and the defense was playing awfully well for Saskatchewan. And as you look at that team, I think the defense and the special teams have to play well to carry an offense that's somewhat inconsistent. But here are some of the categories and their rankings, and all those numbers relate to a total of 6th in a ranking on defense in the league, and that's just not going to get it done. They have to play a lot better. The problem is they're playing against Toronto tonight, who is number 2 in total offense, and as we know, this is an offense that can make even the best of defenses look pretty ordinary.
And when you think of Toronto, you think of the air attack, but maybe the Argos will borrow a page from the BC Lions.
Yes, sir.
Who last week torched the Saskatchewan defense. Sean Millington did for 212 yards along the ground. Rod?
Thank you, Gordon, Leaf, and yes, Obi, that number, 212 yards for Sean Millington, really showed how vulnerable that Saskatchewan defense can be. Here the Argos used to throwing the football. Do you change your offense a little bit tonight?
I don't think they're going to change it a whole lot, because what Millington did against Saskatchewan last week was much the same what Toronto does in their offense, except they got Robert Drummond, who's a lot faster than Sean Millington, and he had a career game last week. And the more interesting part about that is that Saskatchewan's starting a pure rookie, Nelson Van Ways, in place of LeBryant Robinson at defensive tackle. So I look for Toronto to try and exploit him and Alexander on that side of their defense.
Jim Daly had made it clear they were letting go of LeBryant Robinson, but he never really made it clear exactly why. Well, Doug Flutie has exploited many a defense so far this season, Les. He struggled against Saskatchewan. He was a bit hurt then. I believe he's a bit hurt now, although he's downplaying his injuries. What's your approach if you're Saskatchewan's day?
Well, if I'm Saskatchewan, I do something that Edmonton failed to do or didn't do last week in pressuring Doug Flutie when he was visibly hampering an injury. They say that he has a lightly sprained knee and an aggravated hamstring. If I'm Saskatchewan, often and early, I'm coming with the blitz to see if those injuries are as minor as what he says they were at the beginning of this week.
If I saw this betting line, Marty, in week 3, I would have been all over Saskatchewan. Things have changed a little bit, though. It is an awfully big line, though, favoring the Argonauts.
It is. The Las Vegas bookmakers, Rod, have decided that Toronto should be favored by 13 points. That's a lot of points. Guess who I'm taking, Les?
Oh, let me see. Saskatchewan's playing tonight. I'll take a wild guess and say Saskatchewan.
You got it. Yeah, why? I'm not going to give up on the green machine just yet. This team is just too good to be blown out by more than 13 points. And keep this in mind, too, guys. The Roughriders haven't lost back-to-back games all season. And guess what? They lost last week. Flutie's mobility is bound to be affected because of the injury you just mentioned, Les. And you need mobility against that quick Saskatchewan defense. Look for Jurison and Alexander to have a few sacks tonight. So, take the Roughriders and get the 13 big points. I don't know if they're going to win the game, but I do think they're going to cover the spread.
Well, in their last meeting, Mike Pinball Clements had a couple of fumbles that and other things really cost the Argos that victory at Taylor Field. You know they're going to be pumped up to face Saskatchewan again, especially Mike Pinball Clemens coming down the ramp in the introductions. The Argos looking to go to 7-2, and Saskatchewan trying to, yes, keep the pattern going and get another win following a loss. We'll have the opening kickoff from Skydome right after this.
In the great indoors, Toronto and Saskatchewan meeting for the second time this year. Jim Daly's team is parked at 4-4 right now, tied with the Calgary Stampeders for third spot in the Western Division. And his team did knock off Toronto earlier this year. Toronto has been beaten only twice this season. Don Matthews, meantime, is just 4 wins away from becoming the CFL's all-time winningest head coach. He's 44-14 in his last 3 regular seasons. Mike Vanderjagt will kick it off. Profile Greer is the man on the left. Rod Harris on the right. Back deep to receive. And we're underway at Skydome. Rod Harris from the 20-yard line. Harris shakes and bakes, but gets dropped by Dwayne Dimitrition. Pretty good stop. Kelly Wiltshire gets down there as well. Saskatchewan will start from the 30-yard line. 29-year-old Reggie Slack is the Saskatchewan starter. Once again, his best outing of the year was against Toronto. 20 of 32 passing with a touchdown. In the offensive backfield, Mims and Joseph are back there with him. Narcisse Harris, Mayfield, and Farthing are the receivers. Dan Farthing coming off his best game of his career. 7 for 142 last week and a touchdown. On first down, Slack's under pressure, gets it away with Rob Waldrop all over it. And actually almost completed there to camera 4, but it does fall incomplete.
Well, the #1 defense in the CFL after 8 weeks is the Toronto Argonauts, and up front they get great push to the pocket from Andrew Stewart and Rob Waldrop. Change of note tonight, Antonius Bonner moves from a defensive back spot that he has played sporadically this year to linebacker. Saskatchewan uses a lot of 5 receiver sets, and they want him in for some extra pass coverage, and Retrieve Smith is in the secondary.
Mark on camera 4, unable to make the catch. It's second down. Slack up and throwing again for Mayfield, and that hits Dan Rashovich. Well, Dan Rashovich and Mark aren't the guys that should be catching passes. It falls incomplete, and Saskatchewan 2 and out will send out the punting unit.
Yeah, not a great start for Saskatchewan. I mean, this is a team that has struggled on offense all season. You know, we talked about their defense board in the opening that has fallen to a 6th place ranking total D. Well, the offense also is in 6th place, and for a team that on paper really has so much promise with individual personnel, they just really collectively have not been able to fit together.
McCallum back to kick, and it's blocked. Loose ball, he reached for it now. George Namaku appears to have it for Toronto. Adrian Smith got in there to get a hand on it, and a big special teams play turned in by the Argos.
Adrian Smith with a great effort, and what he did, as all good blockers will do, is he picked a spot about 3 yards in front of Paul McCallum. He dove for that spot and made contact with the football, in a disastrous start for Saskatchewan, rather, but a very typical high-powered start for the Argonauts this year.
Well, what a place to start your first drive. The Argos begin at the Saskatchewan 27-yard line. Adrian Smith with the block, George Namaku the recovery. Now Flutie. Turning backside, he goes wide open with Robert Drummond. A breakdown in the Saskatchewan defensive backfield, but the pass was short. Flutie can't believe it. It'll bring up second down. Well, Doug Flutie and this Toronto offense have the most points, the most touchdowns, the most first downs, and the highest completion percentage. If Flutie passes for 400 yards tonight, he'll become the Argos' 3rd all-time leading passer in his 2nd year. Joining him in the backfield, Clemens and Drummond, Masadi, Saunders, Mitchell, and Andre Kerwin starts at wide receiver. Wayne Dimitrition goes out, and up front, keep an eye on Chris Gioscas, number 58. He's been hampered somewhat by an injury, but will start tonight. Now Flutie over the middle for Clemens, and the pinball can't get it. It's picked. Ryan Carey gets it for Saskatchewan. So 2 big plays turned in so far. Toronto with the blocked punt, but right back the other way. Ryan Carey with the interception, and Saskatchewan snuffs out the Argos red.
Which you're going to see him in a lot, and as Mike Clemens is not able to hang on to it, Ryan Carey is in the perfect spot to make the turnover and snuff out an early opportunity for Toronto.
So Carey celebrates, and Doug Flutie throws his 11th interception of the year. He leads the league in that category. Somewhat surprising.
It is surprising, and as you look at Ryan Carey, he really did his job. He's going to be the guy in the middle that hangs way back there and just supports all the other defensive backs, and he did his job perfectly.
Saskatchewan starts at the 23. The toss goes to Robert Mims. Mims stacked up early by Rob Waldrop and now belted by the rest of this Toronto defense. Well, Robert Mims is the guy who led the league in rushing last year, Leaf, and Jim Daly saying yesterday he really wants to get Mims more involved, but the situation dictates that, and when you're behind, very hard to get him involved.
And that's really true. That 411 yards rushing, certainly well behind the leader in the league, Mike Pringle, who has 720. So you see Robert Mims not nearly the kind of numbers he had a year ago, but and you make up a great point. When you have to throw the ball, he's not going to be in there because they bring in Profield Greer as they have now.
6 receivers out there now for Slack, who's under pressure, and he does get it away. The pass ball's incomplete. Andrew Stewart, Michael O'Shea, and Rob Waldrop all there to put pressure on the Saskatchewan quarterback, and once again it's 2 and out for the Riders.
Wow, just tremendous pressure up front. You got Rob Waldrop and then Maxey and Andrew Stewart right there, and watch as they come. Stewart's going to get the pressure. He just overpowers his man Terry and gets in, and you've got Rob Waldrop, Mike O'Shea coming on the blitz. I mean, this is a defense that can totally dominate a game, and they're dominating early again tonight.
Paul McCallum's first punt was blocked, and he does get this one away. Mike Clemens from his own 50-yard line. Clemens gets whacked by Henry Newby up to the 52-yard line, a 35-yard punt, and a return of 2. For all the talk, Leaf, about Danny McManus and all the interceptions he throws, Doug Flutie is now tossed 11. That's very uncharacteristic for him.
Well, it is. I mean, he's such a high percentage passer. Usually someone that's at 66% in pass completion, you wouldn't think that they would lead the league in interceptions. But, you know, there's a ball that was tipped by Mike Clemens, a well-thrown ball, but ends up statistically being a negative.
First down, Toronto. The Argos at their 52. First down they go. Here comes the ground attack, Robert Drummond. And he's wrapped up quickly on the play. Henry Newby gets there to limit the game to about 5. He crosses midfield, gets down to the Saskatchewan 53.
Well, the pressure on the Saskatchewan defense tonight. A newcomer will start up front, number 91, Nelson Van Wise for them. And I think you're going to see Saskatchewan bring in Bryce Bevel and go to a nickel package and take Van Wise out. But the linebacking core, really the strength of this team with Katie Williams, second in the league in tackles, and of course the Canadian Patrick Burke starting on the corner. Only 4 interceptions by this secondary and linebacking core, and that's something you'd like to improve on.
Devils out there now. The nickel defense is in. Flutie up and throwing it behind Paul Mazzotti. Well covered by Todd McMillan. McMillan's out there for Benson Donaldson, who was injured last week at Taylor Field.
Really a tough start for Doug Flutie. I mean, we've talked in the past, Gord, you and I always mentioned how successful Toronto is at coming out and setting the tone of a game with good opening drives. Well, tonight they had an opportunity on the turnover. They didn't complete a pass to a wide-open Drummond. Now they come out and Saskatchewan with good tight man-to-man coverage, which they play almost 50% of the time or more. And this is not a typical Doug Flutie start.
Mike Vanderjagt, the league's leading punter, is net 40.3 yards, the only player in the league over 40 yards. Vanderjagt hangs it up high. Profield Greer from the 14-yard line. Greer trying to pick his way ahead. Adrian Smith gets him as he dives up to the 20. A flag down on the play, a 40-yard punt, and a return of 5. No score at Skydome. The CFL Live continues right after this.
Play Safeway's all-new $1 million touchdown to win for your chance to win $1 million or other fabulous trips and prizes. If your name appears, it means you could win $1 million if any CFL player returns 2 punts for touchdowns in today's game. $1 million touchdown to win at Safeway Food and Drug.
Mars Probe proceeding to Sector 7 Alpha. Let's see, we've got a dusting of fine-grained silica particulate, a ferrous compound meteorite, igneous outcropping, visa sign, some basaltic fragments. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Mars Probe proceeding to Sector 7 Bravo.
In the news, excitement.
Saskatchewan does not yet have a first down in the game. Slack. Another quick drop. Once Harris underneath, he's got the catch, puts his head down, and should have enough to move the chains. He gets out close to the 20-yard line, and that will be a Saskatchewan first down. And Ron Harris comes into the game with 461 yards receiving, but maybe somewhat underutilized by the Saskatchewan offense.
Well, I don't know underutilized. You could say that about Curtis Mayfield. He's only caught 16 balls, but I mean, this is what really Saskatchewan needs, to some high percentage completions by Reggie Slack, get a few first downs, try and reestablish some sort of field position, and at least get some momentum in this first quarter.
On first down, back they go to Robert Mims. Good run for Mims. Antonius Bonner helps bring him down up to the 29-yard line, a gain of 9. And Robert Mims brought down by Antonius Bonner, a defensive back, essentially playing linebacker. You got to think that sooner or later, backs like Mims will prosper with all these small DBs playing linebacker.
Well, it's true, you would think that, but what teams do, and as Toronto is going to do tonight, up front, they try to take away the gaps. It's called gap cancellation, and essentially what that means is they're trying to make sure that a big person doesn't get out and able to block Bonner. Yes, Bonner's going to have to make tackles, but they're hoping he doesn't have to take blockers on as well.
Second and short, and Antonius Bonner once again runs into Robert Mims. This time Mims has the first down as he gets out across the 30-yard line.
And Gord, if Saskatchewan can continue to have some sort of running game, I mean, they rank second in the league. They do about 115 yards per game average, which is not too shabby. But if you're going to run the football against Toronto, you better get some good production on first down. They got 9 yards. They allow Mims to carry the ball 2 times in a row, and Bonner has to make 2 tackles in a row. That's the kind of guy you want to be tackling Mims, because that means he's gotten through the first wave. But if they can get good first down production, this is really going to help their offense.
Back-to-back first downs for Saskatchewan from the 31-yard line. They go back to Mims on first down, and Mims picks his way out close to the 35-yard line. Spotted as a gain of 4 yards, and they're running right at Antonius Bonner 3 straight plays.
And what you like to do against an aggressive front four sometimes is to run the traps. Watch John Terry here as Rob Waldrop comes across. There's the trap block right there, and you really want to try and do that right there against an aggressive defense. Waldrop comes upfield, and he gets whacked by John Terry. That can not only, it's a good running play, it can slow that pass rush down a touch.
Oh, this one, Doug Flutie pulls his heels on the sideline. Slack wants to throw under pressure. Angelo Shea had him. Slack gets away. Now under pressure, Slack goes to the sideline, and the pass falls incomplete. He was looking there for Curtis Mayfield. It'll bring up third down for Saskatchewan.
Demetrius Maxey at the top of your screen gets the inside move on Gene Makowski here, and Makowski grabs him from behind. You can say it's holding, but he got away with it, and Reggie Slack was able to break containment and get outside.
Paul McCallum will once again be forced to punt. Mike Clemens and Mike Saunders back deep to receive. Only 2 punts have been returned for touchdowns this year in the Canadian Football League. Mike Clemens has one of them, Chris Wright the other. It's becoming a rare sight in the CFL.
Well, teams are just doing terrific jobs at covering punts.
Clemens takes this from the 32-yard line. Another example there, not much doing. A 43-yard punt and a return of 5. Back with more from Sky Dome on the CFL Live after this.
And certainly has the right perspective on what to do, and the way Toronto started tonight, I mean, it's kind of making Bobby Jurison prophetic. I mean, they have had 2 chances at it, 2 series, and they have done nothing. So to frustrate Doug Flutie, yeah, that's what they'd like to do.
Flutie up and throwing, and it is picked off by K.D. Williams. And K.D. Williams has Saskatchewan's second interception of the game. He takes it down to the 35-yard line. Doug Flutie has been bitten twice in this game, now 12 times on the year, and K.D. Williams got him in the first game as well.
Well, here's K.D. Williams right there. They kind of faked the option. He just slides down the line of scrimmage. He spies the quarterback. He's looking into Doug Flutie. Watch this, looking. And then when Flutie throws, he just simply doesn't see K.D. Williams sliding underneath Darryl Mitchell. And the second turnover in the first quarter, and turnovers and sacks which plague Toronto and Taylor Field, again, are rearing their ugly head here tonight.
Well, K.D. Williams very much in the news in Regina this week for a sideline incident with Coach Greg Marshall, but he atones for that with a big interception here. Now, what can the Riders do with it? Reggie Slack up over the top. Mayfield got his feet tangled up with Donald Smith, and a flag comes down. 2 flags on the play. Curtis Mayfield wanted to go over the top. He got tangled
you're playing on the road, you're 4-4, and you've been struggling as a team, I think Saskatchewan would be well advised to take advantage of this opportunity. They've had a lot of breaks in the first quarter, but yet no points.
On first down, play fake to Robert Mims. Slack's under pressure, throws it over the middle for Mayfield. The pass is over his head, and once again, there was a Toronto team meeting at Reggie Slack. And all of this set up by K.D. Williams, who has been a Toronto killer this year. And you go back to the play he made in week number 3 at Taylor Field with a huge crowd on hand. It was in the first half. Doug Flutie had really been frustrated at this point. The pass was tipped at the line by Lamar McGriggs, picked off by K.D. Williams, and returned for a 30-yard score. Saskatchewan took the lead and never looked back.
Yeah, it's been essentially the same area where he got his interception tonight. And a rough start for Doug Flutie with his 12th pick of the year. And I'll tell you one thing, Gene Mikowski, the right tackle, is having a tough time with Demetrius Maxey.
Here comes the pressure again. Slack once again to the end zone. Dan Farthing and Curtis Mayfield were both there, but that time it was Reggie Gibbons, Ken Benson, and Antonius Bonner who got the hit on Reggie Slack.
And if you're Gary Hoffman, the offensive coordinator of the Roughriders, there is an ugly trend developing here in the first quarter. And the trend is that Saskatchewan's offensive line is having an awful time protecting their quarterback tonight. Reggie Slack's going to have to go to the rollout, move that pocket around, because Demetrius Maxey, Rob Waldrop, Andrew Stewart, and Reggie Gibbons are teeing off on every play. And it's every time that Slack throws the football, he's taking a hit.
Paul McCallum now from the 34-yard line, trying to give Saskatchewan the lead. Kevin Mason is the holder. McCallum misses it to the right. Mike Clemens will immediately give up the single point, and the best Saskatchewan can do off the K.D. Williams interception is 1. And you got to think the Riders won't be happy with that.
And that's frustrating for a team. They've had a couple of real emotional highs in this first quarter with the Ryan Carey pick and K.D. Williams interception on Doug Flutie. I mean, defensively, they're doing some really good things out there to try and nullify a very high-powered offense. But for Paul McCallum, he's got to make those kicks because that can deflate a team as much as anything. And K.D. Williams out there, Doug Flutie just doesn't see him. He gets lost in behind big tackle Willie Williams there, I believe.
And it looked like Robert Drummond might have been the target for the shovel pass. They just buried Robert Drummond.
Well, that's it. Take away one of those options.
Now Flutie gets it to Drummond. A dying quail. Drummond takes out across the 40 and up to the 44-yard line. And a completion from Flutie to Drummond. That's what the Argos are looking for.
And he made a great cutback to get by K.D. Williams, who's a terrific open field tackler. And, you know, you talk about Robert Drummond. I mean, he has so many weapons. He has great speed. He has great physical strength. He catches the ball well, but he also makes people miss. And that is always that intangible quality that separates the good running backs from the great running backs. And Robert Drummond, in my book, is a great running back.
975 yards from scrimmage. He leads the Canadian Football League in that category. Second and short for Toronto. Back to the ground they go to Drummond, who just knifes through that hole out to the 49-yard line. A fumble on the play. And Toronto did manage to get it back. Well, that would have been catastrophic for Toronto. A third turnover in the first quarter.
And Lamar McGriggs, number 38, is coming out of the ball game. 38 in the middle of your picture, sliding across. And I don't know what happened to him, but he just came storming out of the game after he made the initial hit. Was he on the ground when the ball came loose?
Just trying to go in or something.
Looked like he was.
Well, I think he was. I mean, that shouldn't have even been spotted where it was. He was down. It should have been easily a first down without even having to think about it.
On first down, Flutie back to Drummond. They go the other way, and Henry Newby manages to hang on for the ride and limit the gain of Robert Drummond to just 4 yards.
That is a tough play for Henry Newby to make with all your momentum going one way and Drummond spins around, but he was certainly equal to the task in the open field. And boy, this what can you say about this Saskatchewan defense? It certainly revolves around their linebacking core. Henry Newby, of course, a number of seasons with the BC Lions and now doing a terrific job in Saskatchewan.
Key free agent signing in the offseason, overshadowed by the acquisition of K.D. Williams. On second down, here comes the rush. Flutie gets it away. A flag comes down. Mike Saunders with the catch. There's the former Saskatchewan Roughrider fights his way down to the Rider 45-yard line. We'll see what the flag is about. It's a pickup of 14 yards if it stands. And it won't. It's procedure against Toronto. Well, you wonder wonder if the Argos coming off the win over the Edmonton Eskimos aren't a bit flat. Teams often talk about a big win and trying to come back from that, and certainly it was an emotional win for Toronto last week.
Number 87, second down repeated.
You know, some teams I may think that that's possible, but I think Don Matthews is absolutely brilliant on how he motivates and gets his team ready, what he demands from them and their preparation during the week, and the latitudes that he gives them during the week with not practicing in pads to let them rest, to let them get healthy, and then he expects on game day that they're focused. I don't think a letdown is in their vocabulary.
Second and 11. Flutie steps up, and wide open is Paul Mazzotti. And Mazzotti has a first down to the Saskatchewan 42-yard line. Lamar McGriggs was the man who made the stop, but not before Toronto got a big first down.
And Paul Mazzotti did a terrific job. One of the few times, here he is, as he works across the field, he recognizes zone coverage. That means you don't have to beat a man. You just have to get to an area. See how he slows down and waits for it? That's a perfect read after about 5 steps into that pattern. He knew what the coverage is. He knew where he had to be, and so did Doug Flutie. And that's a pretty thing to watch between quarterback and receiver.
A 23-yard gain sets Toronto up with a first down at the Saskatchewan 42. Flutie now firing into coverage again, and Mazzotti just took that away from Dale Joseph. And a good grab by Mazzotti, another first down as he gets down to the 28-yard line. But looked like Dale Joseph had intentions of picking that one up.
Yeah, and look at that, what Doug Flutie did. He came over, and, I mean, you don't think he's going to see a lot of balls when he does this for his quarterback. Watch how he takes it away from Joseph. I mean, that is spectacular. Flutie was off the mark. Could have been intercepted, could have been incomplete, but he ends up by getting a completion because his receiver went to the wall for him and exposed himself against maybe a hit and made the catch.
First down from the 28-yard line, direct snap to Robert Drummond. And Drummond tripped up as he gets down to the 25-yard line. Troy Alexander got in there to get a hand on him. That's a play that went for a 78-yard touchdown last week against the Edmonton Eskimos. And meantime, you know, you talk about sometimes quarterbacks get a bad deal on an interception. Receiver tips the ball up, it's picked off.
Well, Clemens in the first series.
And it counts against the quarterback. That's the case. The receiver saves the quarterback from a bad snap.
Boy, the quarterbacks have long memories about those types of things, Gordon. Mazzotti got the team off to a good start a week ago against Edmonton when he made a spectacular catch in the end zone for a touchdown, and now he's got 2 big drives again early in the game to get his team some momentum.
Last week, Paul Mazzotti passed Terry Greer for second place on the Argos all-time pass receiving list. Darrell K. Smith is ahead of him, and Nick Shadow, of course, last week had his Argo record for career receptions broken by Mike Clemens. Paul Mazzotti has had more than a few changes here in Toronto, notably uniforms. He had the A, the boat, the A. Now the warrior guy, or whatever we call him.
I don't know what he is.
The longest-serving Argo, playing in his 10th season at CFL All-Star in 1994, gunning for his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard season. All kinds of early movement, and Troy Alexander was the man who appeared to jump offside. Troy Alexander kind of insulted me yesterday, Lee.
Why is that?
He's from Edmonton, right? And he said he used to watch me. He said he used to watch me when he was a kid. On TV in Edmonton.
I thought he probably said he didn't know who you were. That would bother you more.
No. Out of Queen Elizabeth High School in Edmonton, went to Eastern Washington University. A good connection, Eastern Washington from Edmonton. Hugh Campbell has good connections down there. A lot of Edmonton kids go down and play there.
Troy Alexander with 6 sacks on the season, having a great start.
Robert Drummond got him for the first down, but Bobby Jurison got to him quickly. It'll be 3rd and a long yard for the Argos. A decision to come, but we're at the end of the first quarter, so we'll have some time to think about it. 1-0 is the score. Saskatchewan has the only goal. The second quarter coming up in a moment. Right now, stand by. We'll send you back live to CFL Control.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
And welcome back to CFL Live Control. Rod Smith along with Obi, Les, and Marty. A quick quarter, as you'd expect, with so few points on the board. Just the measly one. Hey, this league has understandably been called a quarterback's league, Les, but so far, defense rules. Are you surprised?
Well, I got to love it every time a defense rules like this. Toronto's defense is showing why they're #1 in the league. They are just running through Saskatchewan's offensive line like paper. And if they keep doing this all day, they're going to have Saskatchewan underneath the gun like most of the day. I want to say this, that Doug Flutie is now leading the league in interceptions, and I want to know if my friend Marty York is going to criticize him like he does Danny McManus or Damon Allen.
Well, Les, when you're the finest player in the long history of the CFL, you earn the right to have the critics reserve judgment. And let's remember that Doug Flutie is playing hurt tonight. He's got the hamstring and the ankle injury. Having said that, though, it should be mentioned that he has been intercepted 7 times in the past 9 quarters. And, Bob, I thought he really telegraphed that pass that was intercepted by K.D. Williams.
Well, that was very uncharacteristic of Doug, no doubt. K.D. made a great play on the ball, and there was another player right there as well, so that's not the type of decision Doug usually makes. He usually throws it to the guy that's open. And another thing that's noticeable in their offense tonight is they're using Andre Kirwan at wideout instead of Dwayne Demetrician, which I think is an improvement as far as trying to get some vertical speed upfield.
Well, Flutie has them on the move now with a critical 3rd down situation to start the 2nd quarter and just a 1-0 lead. Let's head back to Skydome now and join Gordon Leaf, guys.
Well, Rod, it's 3rd and a long yard. Don Matthews, not in a gambling mood, will try to take the lead here. Mike Vanderjagt, the field goal unit, will come out and try a 27-yard attempt. He's 15 for 20 on the year. An unusual situation for Vanderjagt. He does not use the kicking tee for field goals, but he does for point-after attempt.
Yeah, I think he uses it for point after because he just wants to push it through, and he gets it up a little quicker with the tee, but he's much more comfortable kicking it off the ground. It is rather unusual, but he has his own strategy as to why he does that.
He's a kicker. It's allowed to be difficult.
No kidding.
From the 26-yard line, Vanderjagt books it up, and it is good. So the Toronto Argonauts take the 3-1 lead, but you got to think with the excellent field position Toronto has been blessed with in the football game, a 3-1 lead, not quite what they were looking for. Well, we have a moment. Let's go to Gino Reda.
Hey, Gordon, I just spoke to Lamar McGriggs. He came off a few minutes ago. Missed just one play. He's got a stinger behind his right shoulder. I asked him, what was the deal? Did somebody hit you? And he goes, no. The problem is, I think I'm hitting guys the wrong way. I'm hitting them good and hard, but I'm hitting them wrong. He's had a problem with the stinger for the last couple of weeks, but said, he's fine. He missed one play. He won't miss any other time.
Well, interesting. The plea in Saskatchewan this week was for the Rider linebackers to hit the opposition more often and their coaches less. And, of course, all of this came after the celebrated incident with Greg Marshall and K.D. Williams. Jim Daly saying yesterday, as far as he's concerned, the incident is over. Williams apparently got into a sideline confrontation with Greg Marshall, but they met privately this week. And they just wanted to get that behind them and focus on Toronto.
Happy ending to that story.
It may not be over yet. Reggie Slack up and throwing, looking for Dan Farthing. The pass is knocked out of his hands by Marcelo Simmons. All of that came on a pretty disappointing weekend for Saskatchewan. A sellout crowd at Taylor Field, a big game against BC. And the Riders just took a big old piece of lumber and beat them.
And you know what happens, Gord? I mean, if you're the Saskatchewan players and coaching staff, that was a game. You were at home. You were playing well. You expected to win that game. And then when they didn't and they played poorly, and Millington ran all over them, which is so deflating to have a team just run the ball down your throat, everything burst to a head. And, you know, not to condone those type of actions, but, you know, they happen, and you have to rise above it. As Greg Marshall and I had a little chat tonight, I said, more power to you, Greg, as a coach, to rise above that.
Well, the numbers from the first quarter tell a defensive story. 3 turnovers between the two teams and just 5 first downs. The Toronto Argonauts held to 50 yards passing. Saskatchewan limited to just 26 net yards in the first 15 minutes.
And I guess the Saskatchewan net yardage is not a surprise to me. Les talked about it in the studio break there, how well Toronto's defense has played and is playing. The surprise to me is, again, the success that Saskatchewan's defense is having for the second time this year so far against Doug Flutie.
Injured player is Antonius Bonner, and Bonner being checked out by the Toronto physiotherapy staff and appears to be all right. And, well, we have another moment. Back down to Gino Reda.
Well, Gord, just a minute ago, Greg Marshall, defensive coordinator, is talking to his defensive lineman and linebacker, saying, guys, Flutie's doing it again. He's giving you that head bob on the snap count. He's giving you all kinds of motion. If it was anybody else, it'd be probably called for a procedure call. That's what Marshall said. But it's Flutie. We know he's not going to get called, so don't get sucked in.
Now for the Toronto defense, the focus on Kelly Wiltshire, number 26, who comes in place of Antonius Bonner. Slack on second down is under pressure, and he defensive backfield all game, gets credit for the sack.
Rob Waldrop, who pressures the pocket. Here he is right in here. Watch him come through. I mean, if there is one player that play after play keeps putting pressure on defenses, it's Rob Waldrop. He beats the block of the center, Carl Coulter, and as they have during this whole game enjoyed, it seems every series Saskatchewan's been in on offense, Toronto's had tremendous pressure on Reggie Slack.
The Argos sack leader a year ago with 9, now makes his way to the sideline as Mike Clemens of the punt return unit come on. Clemens, the league leader in punt return yardage, entering week number 9.
He is, but he really hasn't been able to break one, and to the credit of cover teams around the league.
Well, here comes Clemens now, picking his way up the sidelines. Out across the 50 he goes, the 52, just a 33-yard punt, and a return of 12. Toronto leads Saskatchewan 3-1. The CFL Live returns right after this.
And you say that, you saw Doug Flutie tap himself saying, my fault, my fault. Yes, it was. I mean, I thought he had Daryl Mitchell open underneath the crossing, and he could have maybe gone to him. But, you know, again, the frustration factor. Flutie wants to make something happen. They only have 3 points on the board, and he's used to having a lot more. They lead the league in points scored, and they're struggling.
And a visibly frustrated Doug Flutie now on second down. Pressure from Troy Alexander. Flutie just throws that away. No one near him. And Toronto forced 2 and out on offense. And now Don Matthews will have to decide what to do. Likely punt rather than try a 56-yard field goal.
Well, I think punting's a good idea. Mike Vanderjagt, you talked about it earlier, Gord, leading the league at 46.1 average. And, you know, he's always a good bet to pin somebody deep. What I like about Mike Vanderjagt is he's also leading the league in a net punting average. That means the net, what they get on the return, the length of your kick as well, and it's 40.3. Paul McCallum's around 35 tonight, so that means that the Argos consistently should get around 5 yards in field position each time they have kicking exchanges. Obi will like that one, won't he?
Oh yeah, the explanation too was good. Pro fail career from the 12-yard line is buried immediately. John Raposo got down a 37-yard punt and no return. And using the Leaf Pedersen formula, that is a net of 37. Back after. Talked about it. They have a team policy not to lose twice in a row. This week the policy is don't lose twice in the same season to the same team. Now Saskatchewan having beaten Toronto earlier, pretty simple assignment.
That is good team policy if you can adhere to it.
On first down, the give goes off to Robert Mims, who runs right into Johnny Harris and company. And he's stacked up at the 30-yard line for a pickup of 3 yards. And you have to wonder right now if Don Matthews' policy isn't also to get something going. And if the Argos do win tonight, that would be 13 consecutive home wins, which would be a new team record. Last time the Argos lost was their season opener last year against Matt Dunnigan and the Hamilton Ticats.
And of course, if they get their 13th win in a row, that would mean that Don Matthews then would only be 3 wins away from passing Frank Clair as the all-time winningest coach in CFL history. So there's a lot of things that could be broken.
Right call, as they did not get the snap off in time. It'll be a time count violation.
And that is a killer play. You've got 2nd and 7, which is bad enough against this Toronto defense, but now to go 2nd and 12, I mean, you know, you hope as an offense you can convert it, obviously, but I mean, you're asking for trouble when those silly kind of mistakes like delay of game put you in this kind of an awful situation.
Now on 2nd and long, Mike O'Shea and company start getting big eyes looking at Reggie Slack, who goes back to the shotgun.
And they've had pressure all through this first half.
Oh, they're set in the house now. No flag. Slack over the middle for Dan Farthing. And Mike O'Shea saved the day with the tip. There is a flag down. It came down late. Looked like Toronto was offside, so Saskatchewan should get another chance. And it is offside against Toronto.
Offside, Toronto, number 26, 2nd down repeated.
Well, they called Kelly Wiltshire, but I think 3 guys jumped.
Kelly Wiltshire is in replacing Antonius Bonner at that outside linebacking spot, and he did get a little edgy. Reggie Gibbons was right beside him, and he was coming too.
So the right back where they started before the time count violation. 2nd and 7. Now Slack looking for some time, delivers, and it is incomplete. Looking for Rod Harris, well covered by Marcelo Simmons. It's not exactly 2 and out, but it's kind of 2 and out for Saskatchewan. It took 4 plays for it to happen as Reggie Slack and company once again make their way to the sideline.
Now, do you think this is a fun job, Gord? You get to come into the game, let it go just a little bit, stop it right there. Kelly Wiltshire's coming into the game, and, you know, he's got to come in here and come on a blitz, and watch what happens. Boom! This is not a lot of fun.
Paul McCallum gets a good kick away to Mike Clemens back at the 30-yard line. Here comes the pinball, looking for a crease. And he gets out to about the 37-yard line on the play. A 50-yard punt, a return of 7. Darren Joseph got down to make the stop.
Well, one of the things that the Saskatchewan defense has done a nice job at is when they run what looks like that shovel pass, Saskatchewan has been all over it, and whether that is something that Toronto wants to run or they want to run a fake off and throw the pass downfield, they've had the shovel pass covered. Katie Williams has made an interception on that formation when they've thrown the ball from that look. So some of the favorite things that Toronto likes to do, Saskatchewan has been able to take away in this first half.
Clooney in the shotgun on first down from the 37-yard line. Fake to Robert Drummond. He'll take off to the outside, but Henry Newby forced him back in. And Lamar McGriggs finishes off the Toronto quarterback. And think back to a couple of years ago, Henry Newby almost killed Doug Flutie when Flutie played for Calgary, and Newby was in BC.
Now McGriggs, you know, coming, but it really is Henry Newby that forces it inside. That's a long way for McGriggs to come, but Newby made the play. I mean, you don't let Flutie get to the outside and around you, and when you force him back in, you get help from your buddies like Lamar McGriggs in his effort.
Newby told me yesterday he loves playing against Flutie, looks forward to the challenge.
Most good players like playing against the best players.
Flutie has it complete to Daryl Mitchell and went right through the hands of Bryce Bevel. It's a first down Toronto, but it should have been Saskatchewan's 3rd interception of the game.
I think Daryl Mitchell is saying, yeah, that's kind of tip drill there or something, because Bryce Bevel should have had the 3rd interception. He's in perfect position right there. And give Daryl Mitchell credit. As a former receiver, that is a tough catch to make because the ball is tipped and it's not easy to keep your concentration.
Ask Bryce Bevel how tough that catch is to make. It's a 20-yard gain and a Toronto first down.
I guess it was tougher for him than for Daryl Mitchell.
Now Flutie turns back, goes to Drummond, and he drops it. Wow. Doug Flutie turns around and just brings one off Robert Drummond. And Flutie's lucky because you know what? Paul Mazzotti took one away from Dale Joseph earlier, and Bryce Bevel just dropped one. Doug Flutie could be sitting on 4 interceptions here in the first half.
Well, he really could, and this is not your typical Toronto offense, but I think you have to give Saskatchewan's defense credit. As I said a few moments ago, they've taken away some of Toronto's favorite things, so now to Flutie's credit, he's starting to go to other things where Drummond plays wide receiver and they try and throw the screen, and had he caught that ball, that play was going to be successful.
Here comes the blitz. Flutie steps up, delivers, and it is intercepted. Picked off by Todd McMillan, looking to get around the corner. McMillan with a flag down, gets buried at midfield. Doug Flutie comes up to make the tackle. And a flag came down very late in the play. It came after the interception. Flutie has been picked off 3 times in the game. Todd McMillan has his first career interception. Wow. We'll see what the flag is about, but as I said, it came after the interception.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 39, first down.
Well, the holding will limit the return somewhat, but wow, another big defensive play turned in by Saskatchewan.
And Katie Williams right up the middle. Doug Flutie, no question, he sees him coming, lets the ball go, and as they did in week 3, they brought a lot of people, got some pressure on Flutie, and then forced some bad plays and turnovers, and again, another interception.
So Saskatchewan begins now at the 38-yard line, but the Riders have been unable to take advantage of the Toronto turnovers. Slack steps up, over the middle he goes to Dan Farthing. The pass caught right near the first down marker at the 48-yard line. Mike O'Shea comes up to make the stop.
Dan Farthing, without question, having his best year as a professional, and even though they lost a week ago, he had a great game against the BC Lions. Those are his numbers coming into tonight's action, but You know, I remember him from the University of Saskatchewan. He was a great one in university. I always thought he had plenty of potential, and it's amazing to me. It's been 6 years. It just seems like yesterday he came in the league, but he's worked hard at his craft, and he's become a very good receiver.
On first down, Slack takes the shot, delivers it, and here's his man. It's complete down there to Rod Harris for a first down to the 44-yard line. A pickup of 17 yards, and Reggie Slack paid the price for the completion.
Well, and this is inspirational for the defense on the sidelines that's watching this. Here's the simple hook that Reggie Slack will take the hit in order to deliver the football. This is a good catch by Rod Harris, but don't think the defense on the sidelines doesn't see this. Slack takes a pounding to deliver the football. Harris makes the good catch on the good pattern, and not only is the defense getting a rest, they're getting some help from their offense now.
Toronto with a 3-1 lead, 7.5 minutes to play in the first half, and Slack goes to the shotgun. Slack under pressure, gets away, sidearms it up the field, and falls incomplete. He was looking there for Rick Walters, well covered by Marcelo Simmons.
And Reggie Slack just got a sidearm and flipped that thing about 50 yards down the field. You think he's got arm strength? You bet he does.
A lot of guys couldn't kick the ball that far.
You know, one of the plays that I really like that Saskatchewan has in their offense that they haven't used tonight is where they roll out Reggie Slack and they either pull the guard Scott Hendrickson or James Monroe from the right side as a lead blocker for him, so he has that option to run or throw. They haven't used that tonight, but in a game against Hamilton earlier this year where they had success, that was a key play for them.
6 defensive backs into the game now for Toronto. Quarterback draw by Reggie Slack. And Reggie Gibbons limits his gain to about 5 as he gets down to the 39-yard line. Now Paul McCallum will come out and try a field goal, a long one. For Saskatchewan, it'll be a try of 46 yards.
That's a tough play to run on 2nd and long against Toronto's defense. They've got such great team speed, and you know, I know a quarterback draw is a good play. Maybe on 2nd and 5 it's a good call, but on 2nd and 10, unless Toronto really makes some mistakes on defense, I just don't think too many times that Reggie Slack's going to be able to convert that.
McCallum missed from 34 yards out earlier. Mark, this is a try from 47. His longest of the year is 52. McCallum steps into it and misses it to the right. And Clemens will bring it out. Mike Clemens brings it out of the end zone, and here he goes. He's got one man to beat, and the kicker got him. Paul McCallum got him right at midfield. Mike Clemens brings it out of the end zone, and only the kicker saved the touchdown. A 62-yard return by the pinball. Instead, Mike Clemens brought it out.
And when you have Mike Clemens returning kicks, you take those kind of chances because he picked up 13 yards past the 41, and only a great tackle by Paul McCallum saved it from going all the way.
First down, Toronto at the 53-yard line. Flutie to the shotgun. And back underneath they go. Robert Drummond trying his way outside, and Drummond forced out of bounds and a little bit late by Henry Newby. Crowd hollering for a penalty. And once again, it's Drummond on the direct snap.
And what you get on the direct snap is just an influence with Flutie going one way, and with a linebacking core that's as active as Saskatchewan's is, you try to get that little extra step, get them moving one way, and it sets up a blocking angle for your lineman or your lead back.
Oh, Toronto doesn't have too many lead plays.
No. Because I don't think pinball's throwing many lead blocks out there. Second and just a couple now for Toronto. Drummond lined up in the tailback position behind Mike Saunders, and they'll give it to Drummond, and what do you know? The I formation lead Toronto, but an elite block from Mike Saunders, but not much doing there. Drummond tripped up, and it looks like he's about a yard short of a Toronto first down.
It wasn't much of a lead block. He kind of just fell into Bobby Jerson with Mike Saunders a little bit, but Mike's worked really hard on his receiving abilities. He's learning a new position, playing slot back. He's in his 5th game. He had a great game a week ago with a couple of touchdown receptions against Edmonton, and you know, I thought this was going to be a very, very difficult transition for him, but it's been one that he's made with remarkable ease.
Saunders, of course, broke in with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. In fact, Don Matthews was the coach in Saskatchewan when Saunders came to the Canadian Football League.
And that's the only reason why he was willing to come to Toronto and go on the practice roster was because Don Matthews asked him, and he was the coach. Had it been any other coach, I don't think Mike Saunders would have come and gone on somebody's practice roster.
Third and a long yard. Once again, the I formation. Saunders with Drummond. Flutie gives it off to Drummond. Up over, and Drummond almost broke it. He goes down to the 41-yard line. We saw this a couple of weeks ago from Robert Drummond, who went 60 yards on a short yardage play. And I tell you what, if you break the first wave, you go a long way.
Well, he becomes Ronaldo Nehemiah, the high hurdler here, as he goes up and over. And had he kept his balance, it really would have been a race with Bryce Bevel and Todd McMillan, the corner. But you know what? It was the formation of what they did. They led with Mike Saunders back to the weak side, and that influenced the middle, and then they went opposite with Drummond. Everything Toronto does is for a purpose.
First down, Flutie looking for the shovel pass, sets it up for Drummond. Well blocked. Drummond cuts back now. Drummond fighting his way down to the 30-yard line. Still going. He gets down to the 24. Bobby Jurison makes the stop, but wow, Robert Drummond really picks his way through the Saskatchewan D.
I mean, he is second in the league in rushing. He certainly gets the job done. He averages almost 7 yards a carry, and this is a good look at that shovel pass and all the options that it gives the defense to try and stop it. And Henry Newby went wide, and Drummond cut back underneath, and some good hard running. Doug Flutie said to me before the game, I said, what are you going to try to do these guys? He said, well, we would like to run, not only just because Sean Millington did last week. We think they're light on defense weight-wise, and we think maybe we can manhandle them a little bit.
Direct snap back to Drummond, and Drummond through the middle takes a shot as he gets down to the 21-yard line. Bobby Jurison and Lamar McGriggs get there, and it's a pickup of 4 yards. The problem for Toronto is they don't have a conventional running attack.
Well, they don't have a conventional running attack, but they certainly make the most of what they have, and they ran a trap right there with Jeremy O'Day, the right tackle. They don't run too many traps, but they did right there. More of a counter than a trap, but hey, listen, Flutie struggled tonight. He's throwing a lot of interceptions, so what a great thing to be able to go to plan B and kind of grind away on the ground with your running game.
Second down, Flutie looking for Drummond. He's got the catch again. Lamar McGriggs brings him down short of the first down as he's dropped at the 18-yard line. It'll bring up third and a couple. And Don Matthews will likely have to settle for a field goal as we've reached the 3-minute warning at Skydome in Toronto. The Argos with a 3-1 lead in a defensive struggle on the CFL Live.
Gotten off to a slow start in the ball game, but the big difference is in this game, as he's coming to the sideline, he's taking complete responsibility, saying, sorry guys, it's my fault, it's my fault. He's not getting upset at anybody else in the team. Right now, he's taking a majority of the responsibility.
Well, now Mike Vanderjagt will try a field goal, and Doug Flutie is the holder. The try will come from 26 yards out. Vanderjagt has accounted for all the scoring for Toronto, and now gives the Argos a 6-1 lead. Mike Vanderjagt, by the way, would like to be referred to as an athlete who kicks, not a kicker, Reeve. So from here on in, please honor that and refer to him as an athlete who kicks.
I'll let you refer to him as an athlete that kicks. To me, he's a kicker. They're all kickers. He's a great one, but he's a kicker. That doesn't change, even though he's a good one.
Last time
I'll call him a good kicker then.
Okay, a good athlete who kicks? No, that'd be asking too much. The last time these two teams played, of course, was at Taylor Field. Saskatchewan won at 27-23, scoring 2 touchdowns in the final 3.5 minutes. Last year at Skydome, Dwayne Patrician got a couple of touchdown passes. Toronto was all over the Riders. And then at Taylor Field in 96, Toronto beat them 40-16. Doug Flutie, in one of his better outings of the year, 480 passing yards. Reggie Slack in the shotgun on first down. Swings it out for Profale Greer. Greer's got his hands on the football offensively for the first time. He gets out of bounds, takes a shot from Donald Smith as he gets up to the 42-yard line. And trying to find a way to get the ball in the hands of Profale Greer more often has been a long-term goal for Saskatchewan, but he has 11 combined touches, rushes, and carries coming into this game.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma for Jim Daly. He said he wants to get the ball in Profale Greer's hands 15 to 20 times a game. Well, what do you do with Robert Mims then? A lot of times what they use Greer for is in as a 5th receiver, and Mims comes out on 2nd and long situations, but I just don't see how he's going to get the ball that many times.
On 2nd and short. They give it off to Mims. Stopped the first time, but his second effort gets him out to the 45-yard line. He should be close to a Saskatchewan Roughrider first down.
Gord, you know what I really find surprising in this first half? Anytime I've seen Saskatchewan play this year, and when they have played well offensively, Reggie Slack's running has been a big part of their offense. He is yet to run with the football here in the first half.
Well, I find it interesting, too, if you told Saskatchewan before the game the score would be 6-1 at the half, they might have taken that. Remember, Saskatchewan with a 10-9 lead at the half at Taylor Field. Keep the score low, Saskatchewan's got to like its chances.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. They would. At some point in time, though, they're going to have to generate some offense to win this football game.
They just missed the first down. It'll be third and not even inches, third and half an inch.
You know what? Normally you'd say with a yard off the ball, this is kind of a freebie and it's an automatic and all that kind of stuff. But Toronto's defensive front gets such terrific penetration. Last week, Demetrius Maxey made a play on third down gamble against Edmonton that really turned the tide of the game. And you know, they pick it up here, but they get a great surge up front from that front four of Toronto.
Slack just missed a flying Kelly Wiltshire who came over the top, a human missile. And it'll be a first down for Saskatchewan.
Well, that's what you have to do. You know, if he hands off and the back goes up over the top, you have to become a missile yourself on the defensive side and try and head him off right at the top at the highest point.
Clock running here, 2 minutes left in the first half. Saskatchewan with the ball at its own 46-yard.
Some of those little guys go diving over the top to look good for the film, but they're hoping they don't run into anybody.
Please don't hit me. Slack, quick drop, gets Rick Walters, and Walters fights his way out to midfield for a gain of 9. One of the great lines I heard from the sidelines one time was a guy said, if you want to get on film, buy a camera. Don't be doing that anymore.
Well, that's it. Minute 47 to go. Reggie Slack is at least a first down away from giving Paul McCallum an opportunity, and they bring their short yardage team in, but he's going to have to work the clock here, but they certainly have plenty of time to get some points before the end of the first half.
And Farthing checks out. Chris Zarka comes in at fullback. Bobby Jurison as well, and Reggie Slack just jumps up and over, and he'll have another Saskatchewan first down.
He kind of did the bunny hop there over right guard, and he got 3 yards. He's so big. I mean, Reggie Slack is 6'3" and 215 pounds, a big man for a quarterback.
And you see Bobby Jurison playing on offense for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Bobby J has 2 touchdown catches in his career, one in 88 and one in 89.
He's a secret weapon.
Yeah, those days behind him, over the hill offensively.
It's like Gonzalo Floyd in Hamilton. He's got a touchdown catch this year.
First down. Slack from the shotgun. Looking for Don Narcisse. Almost picked off by Donald Smith, and a flag comes down. At the end of the play, Smith thinks it's against Narcisse.
Well, Donald Smith really broke beautifully on the pass to Don Narcisse, and
Smith can't believe it. The penalty's against him. Donald Smith was clapping his hands. He thought the call was against Narcisse. The penalty is against him.
Toronto, number 19, first down Saskatchewan.
Wow, first down Saskatchewan. Donald Smith can't believe it.
While a break for the Roughriders, often what happens, you'll see here, Don Narcisse really doesn't come back to the quarterback too hard, and the contact is created as Smith is fighting through him to the football. And that's a real fine line. You know, on film, the defensive coaches, Bill Bradley, will say, hey, Don, you did a great job. The receiver stopped and you drove through him. But the officials see it differently, that he's been creating contact and impeding Narcisse's ability to catch the football.
First down Saskatchewan from the 43. Slack from the shotgun. Has time, has a man, and has Rod Harris, who gets out to the 35-yard line. Another flag is down in the backfield. It was a gain of 8, and it's contact against Toronto again.
I can tell you, in these back-to-back plays, the real difference was Harris kept working back on the hook pattern, so there could be no contact. Certainly wasn't on his man, but that's the difference. He comes back to the quarterback and makes an easy catch.
Legal contact on an eligible receiver. Toronto, number 26, first down Saskatchewan.
Call goes against Kelly Wiltshire, and it's another first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we'll look at Kelly Wiltshire, number 26.
Well, here it is right here. He's in for Antonius Bonner, and I don't think there's any question. I mean, you're going to do that, and out in the open field, you're going to get flagged for it. That's a good call.
Little Alaman left, Alaman right. First down, Saskatchewan at the 33-yard line. Slack from the shotgun again. They set up the screen pass for Polkdale, and Greer makes the tip catch, and Reggie Gibbons manages to get him from behind. That play was successful by a shoestring.
What a player Reggie Gibbons is. I mean, he's played linebacker this year. They have problems up front with injuries, and so he comes up and plays the rush end, but he just has tremendous speed. And you talk about a player that goes hard on every play. Reggie Gibbons is that kind of player.
Slack on second down under pressure over the middle. Picked off. It's intercepted by Lester Smith. The pass was intended for Dan Farthing. Reggie Slack got buried as he threw the football, but Saskatchewan, which was in field goal range, will come away with nothing.
Well, Reggie Slack was buried by Ken Benson as he came on the blitz, but Lester Smith snuck in on his receiver, Dan Farthing, and, you know, Farthing's going away from the quarterback. The ball is thrown on a line, and Lester Smith, it was easy for him, and that's the hit by Ken Benson, Andrew Stewart in there as well, but the pressure was coming. Slack let it fly, and Lester Smith in great man-to-man coverage, and Toronto can do that with their middle safety. He's originally a corner playing in the middle, and he can come up and cover any inside guy one-on-one and cover him very, very well.
50 seconds remaining in the first half. Doug Flutie gives it off to Robert Drummond, and look at Drummond go into that Saskatchewan secondary. Robert Drummond fights his way out to the 32-yard line before he's finally stopped by Ryan Carey. A quick first down for Toronto.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the nail. Quick first down. There's 43 seconds to go, and, you know, maybe Flutie was going to just run the clock out. Great cutback right there by Drummond following the lead block of Jeremy O'Day. But now I think all of a sudden Flutie may say, hey, let's try and get some points after that play.
And the direct snap to Drummond almost over his head. Drummond fights his way up to the 35-yard line, but the direct snap very nearly flew right over his head. Well, coming up at halftime, lots to look forward to. We'll look forward to the Calgary-BC game tomorrow at the stadium in BC Place. Another great Western showdown. BC at 5-3, Calgary at 4-4, and Rod with Marty, Les, and Bob will talk about all the stuff that's been going on in the league these days.
Yeah, you're a busy man these days. You'll be out there tomorrow night calling that game with David Archer and Glenn Suter. That should be a great one.
Looking forward to it. And the Calgary Stampeders are too. They traditionally played very well at BC Place.
Well, I don't think anybody wants to play Calgary right now. Off to a horrendous start, and now all of a sudden they have come storming back. Alan Pitts is back, and in fact they are so deep right now they were able to trade Joseph Rogers, I understand, today to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's the game you'll see. Friday Night Football.
Pre-game show starts at 10 Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific time. You want to sing the song, Lee?
Not yet.
You're not ready yet?
Not ready.
It's only week 9. You've got lots of time.
I'll work up to this.
6 seconds left here in the opening half. Saskatchewan calls timeout as Mike Vanderjagt comes out.
And that's a good call. So they line up what they want to do with 6 seconds. Obviously, they're going to bring a lot of people up and go for the block here. But take the timeout and decide what exactly you want to do. And a little surprised that they've got 2 people back. Cal Murphy coaching the special teams for the Saskatchewan
Too many guys out there. Got to get that guy off.
He's only got one hand to signal out there because he's got the broken wrist, so he's got to be very emphatic with that left arm.
Strangely enough, even with the broken arm, Cal does communicate well. Mike Vanderjagt gets a little punch shot away. It's picked up by Terrell Ulmer at the 35-yard line, and he's bounced back right where he stood. He gets hammered on the play by Kelly Wiltshire. Time runs down in the opening half. In a defensive struggle, the Toronto Argonauts on 2 Mike Vanderjagt field goals take a 6-1 lead at the intermission. The second half still to come right now. Stand by for CFL Live at the half.
Welcome back. CFL Live at the half, where defensive plays are coming fast and furious, but offensive plays at a premium. Rod Smith, along with Obi, Les, and Marty. Now, maybe the most explosive play in this first half was Mike Pinball Clements after a Paul McCallum missed field goal and a big return to set up 3 of the Argonauts' 6 points. Now, some of us might have thought, Les, when you're in that situation, you take the ball deep in the end zone. You don't bother running it out. But you say on long field goal attempts that go wide, you always do. Explain.
I would do it. If I'm the head coach, I would do it every time. If I'm sitting out there on the sidelines and I'm doing the game and I see that they keep their offensive lineman in there on a missed field goal and it's over 40-something yards or longer, I tell my returner to bring it out every time. Because, look, there goes a big guy missing a tackle right there. Goes another big guy lumbering after him. You got too many big people on the field to stop that. And what we used to do in Winnipeg, when I played in Winnipeg with Mike Riley, is that he would always exchange the offensive linemen and put defensive linebackers in, or the fastest big guys that you have, to go out there and cover a missed field goal.
But I can remember a lot of coaches, including Bob Village, being upset with their returners for not conceding the single. Maybe not in that situation, but in a lot of situations like that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that was a design play. They made up their mind they were going to return it because it was a long field goal, and they blocked for that. Otherwise, Michael would have conceded it. So it has to be a call from the sidelines.
And it was almost 6.
Yeah.
Almost was. Paul McCallum making up for it. Now, Coach, we've seen some inconsistencies at quarterback so far in this game. Less of a surprise with Saskatchewan. A bit more of a surprise with Doug Flutie, the way things are going tonight.
This may be one of the worst halves that Doug Flutie's played in the Canadian Football League as far as throwing the ball well and being accurate. And he's had 3 interceptions. And right here you'll see what should have been a 4th. Bevel makes a good break on the ball. He's got a pick there, and it goes through his hands. And Mitchell makes a great reception for Doug. But Doug has not had a good first half. It's very uncharacteristic of him.
See, Coach, right there is the reason why defensive backs should never walk out on the practice field without catching a ball. That is a prime example of a ball going right through your hands because you don't do it.
And that's from someone who knows about picking off passes, the CFL's all-time leader in interceptions. Marty, I thought we might get through this game without having a debate on Reggie Slack and Kevin Mason, but I must admit, it might be worthwhile starting it up again.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to. And Bob was saying that Doug Flutie's not having a very good half. Well, Reggie Slack's having a terrible first half. He's 7 of 17 for 57 yards, 1 interception. He can't scramble away. I don't know. He just doesn't have the legs to get away from that rush. Why don't they put Kevin Mason in at a time? If they put him in at half to start the next half, then he has a chance to take this team back to win.
So does Toronto pull Doug
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
No, I told you before, it's a different story with Doug Flutie.
If they come out and play one more quarter like they have been, does he pull Doug Flutie in?
Doug Flutie has earned the right in this league to stay in the game. Reggie Slack hasn't done it all year. Kevin Mason has been the better quarterback.
Marty, I'll say one thing. In this particular game, Kevin Mason's going to get a lot of heat as well. I mean, the best thing
But he scrambles better, Bob.
He's a better athlete, and his athleticism may help him. Right. And that's why you might see him in there in the second half. But he's going to get the same kind of pressure that Reggie had.
Where would we be without a quarterback controversy or a question about the QB? The other game going on in the Canadian Football League tonight has one, not a controversy, but a big question. Can Jimmy Kemp fill the shoes of Danny McManus? When the Edmonton
teams, Toronto does have 149 total yards, but 3 turnovers in Leaf. You think about the situation that Saskatchewan is in, the Riders probably haven't seen Toronto play this poorly in a long time.
Well, Toronto's played poorly, but I think Saskatchewan's defense has really played well. They've taken away a lot of the things that Toronto likes to do and forced Doug Flutie to throw the ball downfield a little farther than he wants to. 3 interceptions in the first half. I think you probably have to put a seatbelt on Les Brown in the studio as he watches these highlights because they're all defensive highlights because you've got a 6-1 first half. Hasn't been overly exciting unless you like defense, but gives Saskatchewan a lot of credit. But the only thing that really worries me at some point in time, they're going to have to get some offense going if they want to win this football game because I don't think you're going to shut Doug Flutie down for 4 quarters.
Don Matthews told his team before this game they'd get 4 days off before the next game. Those 4 days may very well be hanging in the balance if the Argos don't get going in the second half. That's coming up next. Right now, we'll send you back to TSN for a Sports Desk update with Brendan Cotter.
This sports break is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Hi, everybody. We'll get back to football in just a moment. Let's fill you in on some baseball that went on today as the Expos and the Cardinals went at it again in Montreal. Young Mike Johnson, the pitcher out of Edmonton, Alberta, looking for his first win. Gets a good start by striking out Ray Langford in the second. But in the fourth,
Toronto, Saskatchewan here later on tonight. Edmonton home to Hamilton. The Toronto Argonauts will get the ball to open the second half. Mike Clemens and Mike Saunders back to receive the kickoff. The first from Paul McCallum of the football game. In a 6-1 football game, Saskatchewan defense getting the job done against Toronto again after shutting them down at Taylor Field earlier this year. And Paul McCallum, obviously rusty, sends that one out of bounds and will have to do it again.
You are a beauty.
Well, I just do what I can, Leaf.
Paul McCallum made, sorry, I was going to say Paul McCallum, we saw him there, made a great play on Mike Clemens on that return missed field goal. And he really saved the touchdown. So he has made a contribution. Not the kind he wants to.
He's missed 2 field goals. That's part of the problem. That's one of the reasons he had to make that tackle. And meantime, Doug Flutie and Reggie Slack might have spent some time at the blackboard here in the halftime period. 7 for 17 was Reggie Slack. Flutie was 7 of 15 and 3 interceptions. And Doug Flutie now with 13 picks on the year.
That is not a pretty picture right there. I'm talking about the numbers.
Well, it's interesting because you think about it. Matthews promised his team 4 days off. Would you take it back?
I don't think he will. You know, Doug Flutie's got the hamstring, and speaking with Eric Tillman, their general manager at halftime, he was adamant that Flutie is not 100% and that's affecting his performance. I'm not so sure I buy that, but
Paul McCown now hangs it up high. Donald Smith takes the kickoff at the 45-yard line. And right away, Toronto with great field position out to midfield. Is that intentional or a mishit?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a tough one to explain. But I'll tell you who has played well tonight in a very low-scoring game has been Robert Drummond in the first half. And he has run extremely hard. Still, they use him all over the place. He's been a wide receiver, of course, at the running back, and he's taking direct snaps rather. He's had a very productive first half.
And right up the gut most of the night. 6 carries right up the middle. Only once he's gone to the left. 11 carries for 57 yards. Several direct snaps have been part of the Toronto arsenal. And Flutie opens the second half in the shotgun. And they set it up to Mike Clemens, but that's a one-hopper just behind second base here at Skydome, and it's incomplete.
And what was interesting in that defensive alignment, Ryan Carey, the middle safety, was right up on the line of scrimmage showing blitz, and you know, Flutie wanted to get that ball out there as quickly as he could. He just one-hopped it. And you know, keep in mind, I mean, this is obviously not a good night for him. Don Matthews, the first to realize that. He had Robert Drummond wide open on the opening series, and had he connected, would have been an easy touchdown. He missed that. He's thrown 3 interceptions. This has not been a good night for Doug Flutie at all.
Brings up second down. Saskatchewan shows blitz, and flags fly before the play gets underway, and it's procedure against Toronto. So a nightmare start to the second half, and it kind of continues on from the first half.
Number 57, still second down.
That time, Big Dan Payne moved early, and the ball will move back to the Toronto 50-yard line.
You know, one of the reasons why you get procedure here, I mean, this is Ryan Carey, who's normally the middle safety. Well, now Doug Flutie sees him up there, and actually K.D. Williams in the middle is going to move back and take his spot at safety. Jim Daly is famous for giving offenses really goofy looks and then covering it up in other places, and I'm sure that's what caused the procedure.
Second and 15, Flutie drops the snap, goes over the top for Daryl Mitchell. He's open, he makes the catch, and he'll score. Touchdown, Toronto. Ryan Carey and Todd McMillan can't bring down Daryl Mitchell. A 60-yard pass and run touchdown. Mitchell has his 4th touchdown catch of the year. Not exactly the way you draw it, Lee. A bad snap to start with, and then a collision between defenders downfield.
Well, the good news about that play was it was a terrific throw, and the ability of Daryl Mitchell to concentrate, take the hit by both Todd McMillan and Ryan Carey and score the touchdown. Remember, Daryl Mitchell caught a tip ball in the first half. It was a great catch. He makes another great catch right here. He's having a super rookie season.
Mike Vanderjagt for the point after. Flutie puts it down, and Vanderjagt puts it through. A 60-yard pass and run touchdown from Doug Flutie to that man, Daryl Mitchell. And the Argos have run their lead up to 12.
Play Safeway's all-new $1 million touchdown to win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won Phyllis Shave with Reflex Action. It adapts comfortably to the contours of your face. Closer contact for a closer shave. Phyllis Shave from Philips, our closest shave ever. Or the Elna 1010 sewing machine, beautifully designed with a classic appearance that offers quality and performance at a competitive price. Ideal for mending, alterations, crafts, and fantastic for the beginning sewer. For your chance to win, visit your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
Touchdown pass from Doug Flutie to Daryl Mitchell that caps off a 55-yard drive.
And it was a great read by Doug Flutie. Saskatchewan does not play zone defense very often, but Flutie, even though he fumbles the snap, recognizes it here, and this is what he's looking at downfield. He's got the perfect play called because he's got his guy in between, in that one lane right there, that he can split the zone, and Flutie just gets it in there in the nick of time. Ryan Carey can't get over, so you know, Saskatchewan trying to give Flutie a lot of different looks. The play before carries up on the line of scrimmage. That time he's deep in the zone. But when they're in a 3-deep zone like that, you want to hit your inside receiver down the seam. Toronto read it perfectly. Mitchell, the receiver, did, and they capitalized with the big play.
Now, how do you have a 55-yard drive and a 60-yard touchdown when you get a 5-yard penalty for procedure? That's how. Mike Vanderjagt sends the kick deep to Rod Harris on the 20-yard line. Here comes Harris trying the left side. Through the middle he goes. And out he gets to the 37-yard line. That's where Saskatchewan will start. Well, it all began with the second half kickoff. Paul McCallum kind of put it up high. The Argos brought it right back to midfield and go in there. 3 plays, 55 yards. And Doug Flutie has his league-leading 18th touchdown pass of the year.
To go along with his leading 13 interceptions.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up after he threw a touchdown.
Well, I mean, he's leading the league in a lot of things.
Yes, you could say that. Now for Saskatchewan with an offense that does not lead the league in anything. It's time to get to work. And to the ground they go. Profale's Greer runs right into Reggie Givens, who limits the gain to a couple as he gets out to the 40-yard line. And Reggie Givens, a major part of that Toronto defense in the first half as well.
Well, again, I mean, you can't mention it too many times. His greatest attribute is his speed. He flies around the football, and he just is tenacious on every play. He's a great pass rusher. He was a good linebacker when he was playing in that position, and he's able to take on the block, get rid of it, and make plays. I mean, he just makes plays. That's what you like to be able to say about a defensive player.
On second and long, here comes the rush. Slack gets it away to Don Narcisse. Narcisse has the catch down to the 48-yard line. That's Don Narcisse's first catch of the game, and that, folks, means that the beat goes on. Narcisse has just extended his Canadian Football League record to 171 consecutive games with at least a catch.
And you asked me before the game just how remarkable is that? I mean, is that a feat that is really astronomical? And you know what? It is. Because as a receiver, to catch the ball for 171 straight games is almost impossible. If you said that about somebody, could they do it? I'd say absolutely not. There's no way they can do it. To me, it's one of the most remarkable feats in professional football.
During that 171-game streak for Don Narcisse, 18 different players have lined up on the other side at wide receiver for Saskatchewan. So he has been the constant amid a sea of change. And he has a first down. From the 48-yard line, Slack under pressure steps up, and he'll just sling it out there. It is complete. They say it's complete to Rod Harris at the midfield stripe, and now the second official comes in and says no catch right in front of the Toronto bench. No getting help from Don Matthews and company. It's incomplete.
And really, you have to admire the officials. The one official ruled it a catch, and the other one ruled it off because it clearly bounced a yard in front of Rod Harris. And when the officials do that collectively, one overrules the other to make the correct call. I really admire that.
It'll bring up second down for Saskatchewan. I'm not sure the Riders share your admiration. Just a guess of mine.
Well, when they see the film tomorrow, they'll understand.
Well, there's a story to that, and they might not be able to see much of the film. I'll explain it in a moment. Second and long now for Saskatchewan. Slack under pressure, gets it away, and complete to Harris. He'll be about a yard short of a first down as he crosses midfield to the Toronto 54-yard line. That'll leave Saskatchewan a couple of yards short. The accusation has been made by a couple of people in the league that the game films coming out of Toronto are blurry. Now, this is a state-of-the-art facility. It's got major league lighting, the whole bit. But some coaches say that wherever Don Matthews has been, the game films come out blurry, and they think that maybe Matthews does it deliberately.
Can we say which coaches are complaining?
Well, I don't want to say that, because you got to be fair.
I can't get that one out of you.
I don't want to start a fist fight, but they're just surprised that you can see clearly out of every stadium except maybe the best one in the league. Mike Clemens on the punt return from the 10-yard line reverses his tracks, and here he goes. Clemens out across the 20, gets buried at the 21-yard line. A 45-yard punt and a return of 11. 13-1, the Argos lead on the CFL Live.
I talked to Doug Flutie when he came off the field. I said, what was with dropping the snap? And he said, you know what? I lined up. I'm standing back there in the shotgun. I look. I see the defensive formation. I know all I got to do is get the ball to Mitchell, and I know it's a touchdown. All I got to do is put it up. He said, I was so nervous I wasn't concentrating on the play and dropped the ball. But fortunately, things worked out for him.
Kind of like a mosquito at a nudist colony. He didn't know where to start. And now he's got the ball to start at the 21-yard line. 1st and 10. Back to the shotgun he goes. Flutie, lots of time initially, swings it out for the pinball. Mike Clemens. And look at Clemens go up the sidelines. When it appeared there was nothing there, he's up to the 35-yard line. A gain of 14 yards for Mike Clemens. Last week, he set the record for most career receptions by a Toronto Argonaut, breaking the old mark set by Dick Shadow, who retired in 1965.
Well, he certainly has found a niche in this offense. A year ago, at the beginning, they didn't know what to do with him, and now they can't get him the ball enough.
And, of course, Paul Mazzani working his way towards Darrell K. Smith as the all-time yardage leader. They give it off to Robert Drummond, and Drummond now with some power for Toronto, barrels across the 45-yard line, and should have an Argo first down. We talked about this last week, but it's worth mentioning again that there were those who thought that Mike Clemens was done as a Canadian Football League player. Too much abuse on special teams. Couldn't handle it anymore as a full-time back. But all of a sudden, not just a second win, but he may be playing as well as he ever had.
And I have a bit of a theory on that a year ago that, you know, he really had to work to find himself another position within this offense. He wasn't going to be the main running back carrying the football a lot. It was going to be Robert Drummond. So what was he going to do? And, you know, special teams were really beating him up, and they were slowing him down when he had to do everything. And I think the fact that Jimmy the Jet Cunningham was here a year ago and did so much of the returning forced Mike Clemens to work himself in another position. To Toronto's coaching staff, to their credit, they made him a slot back, running back, and he's been able to work on his pass-catching abilities. And I really think one of the reasons that he's had this longevity and resurgence is the fact that Jimmy Cunningham came and did a lot of the returns and took the pressure off him on an every play kind of basis.
And a stoppage in play here. K.D. Williams, or rather Troy Alexander, is the injured Saskatchewan Roughrider. Alexander's really having a breakthrough season for Saskatchewan. A first-round pick in '95. He's got 6 sacks off to his best start. Just 25 years old in his 3rd year.
Really tough to see how he just kind of falls down to the ground and really nobody hit him. And tough to see how he... Well, here he is up at the top of your screen, and he just kind of does a face plant here. Lands on his right wrist, and maybe he bent the wrist over, but the way he's coming off the field, well, I don't think it'll be too long before he's back in.
He just shook somebody's hand, so it doesn't look to be all that bad.
And he's right-handed,
so he'll make his way off. It'll be first down Toronto up at the 46-yard line, and you got to think the Rider defense still somewhat deflated by that 60-yard pass and run touchdown to Darryl Mitchell that kind of blew the game open here in the 3rd quarter. Dan Rashovich takes his spot, and on first down, Flutie shovel pass to Robert Drummond, and Drummond close to another first down as he fights his way to midfield. He'll be a yard short after a gain of 9.
Well, and here they get the defense they want, and they play a game against Henry Newby. Now, Newby's got great speed, and here he is at the top. But watch, once he decides to go to Flutie, they just come underneath him. And really, for Newby, he has to get help from the interior if they're going to make this play, because he's absolutely in no man's land. And, you know, if he takes Drummond, Flutie's going to either run or throw it. So he gets caught in the middle and doesn't get a lot of help from K.D. Williams inside.
Game was 8 at 2nd and 2. The toss goes off to Drummond, and Drummond around the corner should have the first down and then some. Finally pushed out of bounds at the 51-yard line by Ryan Carey and Todd McMillan. Robert Drummond really is probably the most versatile offensive football player in the CFL. I mean, he's a great runner. He's a good receiver. He's thrown a pass. You can't ask for much more than that.
Well, he can do it all, and I guess what I like is here's a guy who's 6'3" and listed at 218 pounds, and he has world-class speed. I mean, that is the entire package.
And he's all legs.
He's tough. I mean, on a play, 2 plays ago, or 1 play ago, when he just took the quick hitting handoff, I mean, he runs hard.
First down, Toronto at the Saskatchewan 51-yard line. Here comes the blitz. Flutie sets it up underneath. Pinball makes the catch, bounces off Ryan Carey, and gets down to the 45-yard line. Doug Flutie saw it coming, had the play called, and delivered. And all of this goes on as the Saskatchewan defense finds itself down 13-1, and there's Greg Marshall, the defensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Sending the defensive signals in. And trying to hold this team in. And really, Saskatchewan's defense got the job done in the first half.
Well, I think Greg Marshall knows that his defense really is under a lot of pressure here to try and slow Toronto down because the offense just hasn't been able to get on track.
Here comes the blitz again. Lots of time for Flutie. Underneath he goes again to the pinball. And again, the pinball fighting close to the first down. And they'll mark him down at the 40-yard line, which should be good to move the chains again.
I feel like Doug Flutie's getting better protection here in the second half, too. Willie Williams along the left side of the offensive line, if you can see him, does a nice job to come back in and take the blitzing Katie Williams. And that really allowed Flutie to step up and find Pinball Clemens. But the offensive line of Toronto is being allowed to tee off and establish the running game in the second and now into the third quarters. And, of course, they're picking up the blitzes pretty well here in the third, too. Mike Kislak, you know, we talked earlier in a soundbite we had that the pressure was clearly on them to perform better.
Quarterback draw. Here comes Flutie diving down to about the 30-yard line. Flutie's got a gain of 9, and that should answer any questions about the bad hamstring. As Flutie showed plenty of quickness there, getting close to a first down, just short.
Well, he said his hamstring felt really good. The only thing that he didn't know is that he didn't test it during the week. So he said, I really won't know. A nice gap created between Jurison and Kropke there. But he said, I will not know how well my hamstring has been rehabilitated until I really try and push off. He looked pretty good there.
He wasn't liking things this week. Spent every day in the trainer's room. He doesn't much like that. On first down, Flutie to a wide open Mike Clemens, no more than 20 yards of him. And Clemens high stepping, gets down to the 10-yard line. Look at Clemens carry the pile with him inside the 10. A gain of 21 yards.
And you look at what a player, what kind of impact he can have with his teammates. This is a very inspirational play for Mike Clemens. He could have just stepped out, not taken any pounding right there. But look, he's taking on 2 guys, and then more come in, and he's still driving for extra yardage. When his teammates look at that during a game and on film tomorrow, how can anyone else on the team ever not give 100% or more when they see him doing that? That is truly inspirational for everyone else.
First and goal from the 9. Flutie on the play fake. Back to Robert Drummond. Drummond corralled as he gets down to the 2-yard line by Henry Newby. It'll be second and goal from there.
And this has been a very good, solid, methodical drive for the Argonauts. You know, we look at them as being a real flashy kind of offense with so many little intricate wrinkles. But this has been a somewhat uncharacteristic meat and potatoes kind of drive where they have been able to pound it away on the ground. They've used some short passes, but this is a drive that Doug Flutie has adapted to the tough defense that Saskatchewan has played tonight. And to his credit, he's been able to change.
Second and goal from the 2. Flutie gives it off to Drummond. Up he goes, and down he goes at the 1. Bobby Jurison and Henry Newby get up to make the stop. It'll be third and goal Toronto from the 1. And Flutie sending the short yardage offense off the field.
Look at Bobby Jurison right there. He's the guy that's going to get the penetration. He just slashes down. They turn him loose. And, yeah, he should make that play when nobody blocks him.
Now, the Argos went to send the extra beef out there for the short yardage offense, but Flutie sent them back off. So the regular offense stays out there. The 5-receiver package. It's third and goal from the 1. Flutie tosses it to Drummond. And Drummond did not get in. Robert Drummond does not get in. He stopped at the 1. It looked like he slipped. And the Argos come up short. On third and goal from the 1, Saskatchewan stands tall at the goal line.
I think that's a great call, Gord. I think as Drummond cut upfield, it was going to be close because he had some challenges waiting for him on the goal line to run over some people. But as he goes to the right of your screen here, I really believe he does slip around the 3-yard line on the hard cut right there. No question about it. He just didn't have enough steam left to get into the end zone. I guess the good news out of all this is Reggie Slack has 109 yards to go, and they've had little or no offense tonight. So was it a big gamble? No, I don't think so.
The drive took nearly 7 minutes off the clock, but does not result in a point for Toronto. Now Slack in the end zone in the shotgun. And look out, he's under pressure, and Slack does get it away. He's lucky he got that to Rod Harris, because had he thrown that away, it would have been a safety. It'll bring up second down, and Slack's lucky he didn't give up 2.
Gord, you know who's played well for Toronto is Kelly Wiltshire. I mean, he's a backup defensive back, but when Antonius Bonner was hurt in the first half, he was pressed into duty as a linebacker. He's been asked to blitz. He takes on the block of Robert Mims, but watch, he still keeps coming, and again, it's really him that's going to force Slack to throw it away and try and avoid the interception. But for a young Canadian, Kelly Wiltshire, in his first year, he's got a couple of picks already. He's made a huge contribution to this team.
And playing with a bit of a bad back tonight as well. Slack back in the shotgun on second down. Up and firing, looking for Narcisse, and almost picked off by Adrian Smith. That would have been a touchdown. Adrian Smith, who returned a pick for a score in last year's Grey Cup game, almost duplicated the feat.
And Gord, there's no replacement for experience. I mean, he just knew the situation. 2nd and 10 from the 1-yard line. They're not going deep. They're going to try and pick up the first down, and he was hanging on the out that they threw to Narcisse, and maybe should have had it.
Now, Paul McCallum comes out for Saskatchewan. Will he give up 2? Hard to say. By the way, the Canadian Football League passed a rule change this week. If you're called for holding on these giving up the safety plays, it's applied after the safety. And McCallum will kick it out. That was to prevent teams from deliberately holding. The punt taken at the 35. Pinball dives back down to the 24. So the Argos have had all the field position and all the scoring so far in the second half. Toronto leads Saskatchewan 13-1. Drove the ball neatly. They go 6 minutes and 51 seconds and started their own 21-yard line, but it stalled at the goal line. And one of the men who helped to stall it was Bobby Jurison on second down and 2.
Well, the Argonauts chose not to block him, and a pretty easy play for Jurison to come in and make the tackle right there. And
then Drummond slipped on 3rd and a yard after Doug Flutie sent the short yardage offense to the sidelines on 3rd down.
And they're going to need a few more plays like that from Bobby Jurison, because again, their backs are clearly against the wall.
Now Flutie looking for Andre Kerwin, and Todd McMillan with him step for step. The pass falls incomplete. Well, Bobby Jurison is a guy who's obviously the emotional leader of the Saskatchewan defense, and he talked about the Toronto offense saying there's so many weapons when they're firing on all cylinders, it's almost impossible to beat them. But Saskatchewan did do it earlier this year by taking away Toronto's bread and butter, take away the shovel pass, make them beat you the ways they're not used to doing it.
And for the most part, they have taken the shovel away. I mean, Drummond's had certainly one good run with it in the second half here, but, you know, Doug Flutie just invents something else and life goes on.
Second down from the shotgun. Flutie with all day throws it underneath. Mike Saunders has the catch, a first down to the 12-yard line. Terrell Omer makes the stop, and that time, that was Mike Saunders, more reminiscent of his days as a running back.
And really, when you look at matchups between the Toronto offense and the Saskatchewan defense tonight, this is a good one. The crossing routes are terrific against this Saskatchewan team. You see how far they chased Mike Saunders across the field with Terrell Ulmer. I mean, he came from 15 yards away, and, you know, for a team like Saskatchewan that plays man-to-man at least 50 to 60% of the time, crossing patterns are a terrific weapon against it. You saw how wide open Saunders was.
1st and 10 now, just outside the 10-yard line. Flutie, once again, all kinds of times, tries to get the screen pass away. The problem, Robert Drummond and Henry Newby standing right next to him, waiting for the ball to come.
And to Saskatchewan's credit, again, they ran Mike Clements and Mike Saunders on crossing patterns, but the Saskatchewan defensive backs came up and both took inside position against the Toronto receivers, so they couldn't get across the field, and consequently Doug Flutie had to throw the ball away because his play was taken away.
Brings up 2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. Doug Flutie's numbers have improved somewhat in the second half with the 3 first-half interceptions. Really slowed Toronto down. Now from the shotgun, he fakes it to Drummond. Flutie, lots of time. Throwing it for Clemens. He's got the catch. And he should have a first down. He's pushed out at the 1. And standing there in disbelief is Bryce Bevel, who can't believe he missed the interception. That's twice. Bevel should have had a pick.
Well, he sure was in good position coming underneath the receiver, but Doug Flutie, you know, I mean, that's about as hard as he can throw the football, and he threads the needle perfectly, and Bevel gambled. I think it was a well-calculated gamble, but He just couldn't get it. You know, you talk about inches. I mean, that was inches. And Pinball Clements came up limping here. He got the ankle twisted a little bit.
First and goal from the 1. Flutie gives it off to Drummond. Touchdown. The league leader now has 13 on the year. The Argos have a 19-1 lead with a point after to come.
And I think the problem now, Gord, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders is their defense has been on the field for the entire third quarter. And this is a tough task. And I mean, I think these guys are getting weary. Katie Williams comes in there, and you know, really, he doesn't come in with his usual zeal and zest as he tried to make that play. And you know, usually he really relishes that challenge of taking on a running back in a goal line situation one-on-one. But you know, that wasn't his normal rip it up into the hole and try and make the play. And I think this defense is just slowly getting tired out.
Mike Vanderjagt for the point after. And it is good. The Toronto Argonauts with 2 touchdowns here in the third quarter have taken a 20-1 lead. And that time, Drummond didn't slip.
You know, you talk Katie Williams. Those are the numbers for Drummond. 10th touchdown, leading the league in that department. And this is not a criticism of Katie Williams. I mean, he's a great player, but you know, he tries to take on the block and still make the play, but it just doesn't seem like they have the zip to get it done. I mean, you know, it's a good push by Pierre Bercheval, but you know, this defense is tired and worn down.
Well, and that's the situation that Saskatchewan was in last year. If you can't generate anything offensively, you think about what Saskatchewan did, stopping Toronto on 3rd and goal from the 1. Then the offense goes 2 and out, and you're right back out there.
Yeah, that's tough to take. And I mean, you can look at other teams in the league that have the same problems. I mean, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have had a terrific defensive effort all year, but you know, the offense doesn't, just kind of lets them down, and slowly they lose games in the 4th quarter because I think they're tired. It happened to them when they played BC. And for Katie Williams, I mean, they've got some very, very talented teams and some great players, but I think they're just worn out here. He won't admit it, and he should never admit it, but I really see a change in the 3rd quarter. They're out of gas.
Well, they'll get a rest after this game, then go home for their annual Labor Day weekend clash with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this Sunday afternoon for Labor Day weekend. Mike Vanderjagt kicks it off. This is Rod Harris from the 13-yard line. And it's the reverse to Profale Greer around the corner. Marcelo Simmons did a good job of getting back into play and pushing him out at the 35-yard line, or Greer at the corner.
Toronto is such a well-coached team. I mean, Don Matthews' staff, I mean, all those kick cover guys stay in their lanes, and you know, it looked like they had a chance for the reverse, but Toronto just swallowed it up.
Well, that's the kind of drive you like. 25 yards. The Argos go in 5 plays, and Toronto has really owned the football here in the 3rd quarter, taking a 20-1 lead. Kevin Mason was warming up on the Saskatchewan sidelines, but Reggie Slack remains in at quarterback. With his team down by 19, this should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Slack under pressure, delivers over the middle, has his man Rick Walters, a first down out to the 49-yard line. He was tripped up there by Marcelo Simmons. So Saskatchewan with a first down and some good field position, but a long way to come back in the 4th quarter. That's coming up in a moment. Right now, we'll send you back to our CFL Live Control Center.
And welcome back to our CFL Live Control Center. Rod Smith along with Obi, Les, and Marty. Well, give Saskatchewan's defense credit. You had to figure Doug Flutie would eventually get it going, but the problem is really on the other side of the ball for the green and white. And once again, we've got to talk about quarterbacks.
Rod, I'm getting a little tired of this. I mean, am I the only guy who's seeing Reggie Slack this deficient? This is awful. 1 point in 3 quarters? I mean, it's just, I don't understand why Mason hasn't even begun to warm up. If they want to win this game, they have to put him in there. Doesn't the coaching staff see that?
I don't know. You have to ask Coach that question.
Ask the guy that's coaching.
Both of you sit on the fence. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I talked to some of the Rough Rider defensive players, and they think Reggie Slack is a great guy, and he is. He's a terrific human being. But they think Kevin Mason ought to get an opportunity to be playing. If he were playing, I think you'd see a different story in tonight's game.
Well,
go ahead, Les.
I just knew that it wouldn't take that long for Toronto's defense or offense to figure out Saskatchewan's defense. But Toronto's defense is just playing outstanding. And I told you, if they kept getting that pressure on throughout the whole game, it was going to make it hell for them, and they have been making it hell for them.
You know, I was a little surprised that in that quarter when their Saskatchewan's defense held Toronto, stopped Drummond on the 1-yard line, that they didn't give up the 2 points and kick off and at least give their defense a chance, because when they punted, then Toronto came in and got a touchdown. If they'd have given them the 2, they might have held them down there and only had to give up 2, which would have made it 15-1, and they still would have been in the ballgame.
But the Saskatchewan defense has been terrific to hold them to just 20
But like
points.
Lee Pedersen said, they have been on the field way too long, and if they had given up the 2 and punted, they still might have driven down and given up 7 or 9.
Oh, yeah, they might have.
I would be interested to see time of possession for that third quarter, because that was as big a factor as anything. Heading to the fourth quarter now, yes, Saskatchewan's got a tired defense, and they need points. Need to get it going on offense. Reggie Slack still in there. Back to Skydome now.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders scored 1 point in the early moments of the first quarter and haven't scored since. They begin the fourth quarter down 20-1 after the Argos have scored 2 majors in the third quarter. They have the ball now at their own 48-yard line, 1st and 10. Reggie Slack remains in the game from the shotgun. Slack has Curtis Mayfield, and Mayfield close to a first down as he crosses midfield down to the Toronto 52-yard line. Curtis Mayfield rarely used. A guy who averages 22 yards a carry. He's only got 16 catches on the year, 3 of them for touchdown.
Well, boy, I remember him when he first came into the league with the Las Vegas Posse. He could make some unbelievable catches and plays, and you know, the long bomb and catching it was truly his forte, and that was one of his single game marks that he had with Las Vegas back in 1994. Anthony Calvillo was the quarterback, and the 2 of those players had some great chemistry that year. But I guess, you know, as I look at this Saskatchewan offense, Gord, there's a number of things that kind of surprised me. And number one, it's the fact that Reggie Slack has refused to run tonight, refused to call some rollout plays with blockers in front that he's used in other games that have worked. And I guess number 2, the fact that Curtis Mayfield has been little or no part of this offense.
First down, Saskatchewan. Slack back under center. Has time, looking deep, and almost caught by Mayfield. Adrian Smith was there on the coverage. And twice this year, Curtis Mayfield has had games where his only catch of the game has been for a touchdown.
Well, you can see he loves to go up and fight for the football, and he almost made a very spectacular circus-like catch. But I think, you know, you have to challenge Adrian Smith and Donis Smith on the corner deep, and Mayfield's a guy to do it.
Look out, blitz. Kelly Wiltshire hammered him. Reggie Slack never had a chance. The Riders are out of field goal range, and they're out of downs.
Well, and this young rookie has really made an impact here in the game. He wasn't even going to start, but Antonius Bonner hurt his foot, and now he's in the game, and there's just nobody in the backfield. And, you know, for a quarterback, that's probably the worst sight. I guess the only good thing was that he came from Reggie Slack's front side, so he could see the hit coming all the way. But young Kelly Wiltshire has made a true impact in this game, and, you know, his coach is Bill Bradley, the defensive coordinator, is going to be pretty proud of his effort.
Good punt by McCallum. Chases the pinball. Mike Clemens back to the 15-yard line. Pinball diving ahead. Henry Newby stops him at the 21. A 45-yard punt. A return of 11. And there are flags on the play. What a big sack that was by Kelly Wiltshire. One of 5 rookie Canadians playing for the Toronto Argonauts. Took the Green Riders out of any hope of being in field goal range. And now here's the call from Ken Lazarus.
Holding, Toronto, number 80, first down.
Mark Casola called for holding. While we have a moment, here's Gino Reda.
And Gord, I'm with the gentleman right now who back in Sports Illustrated came up with a poll back in 1994 of the 40 most influential men in all of sport. On that list, there were 3 Canadians, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, and the gentleman who's with me right now, Dr. Bob Jackson, the father of arthroscopic surgery here in North America. Doctor, do you ever find yourself in awe thinking of how many professional careers you've extended by the technique that you developed on the knees, especially?
I never really think of it that way. I just, you know, it's been fun introducing something, and it's been a privilege to be part of the development of it. I guess there's a lot of people here in professional sport that we've helped. I'm certainly meeting a lot of them tonight, the old Argos.
You were involved as a team doctor with the Toronto Blue Jays and, of course, the Toronto Argonauts in the past. Tell us about what you're doing right now.
Right now I'm in Dallas, University Medical Center in Baylor, and looking after the Dallas Mavericks as part part-time job, of course, but it's fun.
Well, Doctor, we lost you in terms of servicing our athletes here in Canada, but thankfully a lot of our Canadian athletes are taking advantage of the technique you brought to North America years ago. Thanks again.
Thanks very much, Ian.
Dr. Jackson looking on as the Argos, his old team, go to work. Doug Flutie, all by himself out there, gets a great block from Mike Clemens, and Flutie still going, gets up to the 43-yard line. Finally stopped by Patrick Burke out there. Nice play by Flutie, moves the sticks for the Argos. A 20-yard pickup.
Well, watch Andrew Henry, number 8, to the left of your screen. Watch the move. Well, you see it right there, and Doug Flutie gets away from him. He's got the high sock, the low sock. You know, he's looking a little shabby out there. We need to have a little dress code with him, but nevertheless, if his hamstring's bothering him tonight, you sure wouldn't know it by that run.
First down for Toronto up to the 43-yard line. And Flutie on play action now. Lots of time for Flutie. That pass over the middle. Oh, Mike Saunders, who got popped. Bryce Bevel hammered him, and the ball came out. Andrew Henry was the man that unloaded on him. Number 8.
The middle of your screen, Andrew Henry getting some playing time at safety tonight, and he times it perfectly. And you know, he drives right through the back and through the football, and that is a super play.
Boy, never forgive me if I didn't give him credit for that. DB's always want credit for the kill shot.
Well, I think so. He's getting a chance. He's in for Ryan Carey playing in the middle right now, and you know, he got beaten by Doug Flutie on the previous play, but he sure made his presence felt on that hit.
Henry released by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers earlier this season. Now Flutie under pressure from K.D. Williams. And Flutie running for his life, just one hops one to Andre Kerwan, and the pass is incomplete. It'll bring up third down. K.D. Williams over talking to Don Matthews and others on the Toronto bench, stops by for a social visit.
I don't think they were too interested in having a conversation there. The Toronto's a team that doesn't do a lot of talking. They go about their business, and not too many times can you get them involved in some of these verbal battles out on the field. And KD, I mean, he loves to play that way. That's a motivator for him, and you know, each to his own. But Toronto's a team that really can't be drawn into that too often.
Mike Vanderjagt back to punt, a former Saskatchewan Roughrider who was cut by Coach Don Matthews while in Regina for being late coming back from his sister's wedding. And now Vanderjagt's taking off. A long way to go, but Vanderjagt has the first down right to midfield. Well, he wants to be called an athlete who kicks. You got to give him credit for that one.
Well, he just shrugs his shoulders and he said, well, there wasn't much. I felt pressure that certainly wasn't designed. The pressure coming from the outside, and he felt like maybe he wasn't going to get this off. So once that opened up, to his credit, he ran away from Andrew Henry, and you know, that's pretty heads-up play. That's one the coaches, you know, love if you make it, hate you if you don't make it, but his calculated gamble paid off.
A 12-yard scamper. Mike Vanderjagt.
And I would concede that was a very athletic move.
And he gives the Argos a first down at midfield. Flutie from the shotgun. Quick drop. Andre Kerwan has the catch. Daryl Ulmer grabs him as he goes down to the 41-yard line. Kerwan with his first catch of the football game has a first down for Toronto. Andre Kerwan, a native of Winnipeg, and went to Stanford University. And in fact was considering medical studies there when the Argos decided to see if he wanted to play a little football. And he's another one of those rookie Canadians the Argos have in their lineup, 5 in all.
I want to talk about these rookies in a minute, because you look at areas of this team that management is proud of, and rookie certainly is one area.
Here comes the blitz. Flutie gets it away to Daryl Mitchell, and Mitchell close to another first down. In fact, does have the first down as he gets back up and is forced out of bounds at the 22-yard line by Dale Joseph, and the Argos move the sticks again.
Well, we talk about young Canadians that they've upgraded, but they've also upgraded with young imports, and Mitchell just finds the hole right down here. Flutie finds him, and you know, he's made some great catches tonight. That's a simple pattern. He's in the right spot in the zone, and you know, makes the catch. But he's got a touchdown tonight on a great catch. He's got a catch on a tip ball that was really good, and now he's got a nice extra effort on an easy catch. So Daryl Mitchell's had not only a good night, but I mean, he's got a bunch of balls this year and become a real big part of this offense in a short period of time.
Troy Alexander is down on the play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Daryl Mitchell getting close to 100 yards receiving on the game, and the Argos threatening again. They lead 20-1 with 10.5 minutes to play.
Play Safeway's all-new $1 million touchdown to win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won the Motorola DPC 650 cellular phone. With its discreet, slim styling, it's as convenient to carry as it is to use. Motorola, the best-selling, most preferred cellular phones in the world. Or a cordless power drill from Hitachi Power Tools, designed to surpass even the toughest performance standards. Commitment to quality craftsmanship goes into everything we build. Hitachi Power Tools, precision-built power. For your chance to win, visit your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
Hey, guys, at what point in the day are you absolutely starving?
After school.
And how do you handle this hunger?
McCain. Your pepperoni pizza pockets.
Why McCain?
Well, because they've given us more pepperoni.
And more pepperoni is important to you?
Duh.
Pick up McCain pepperoni pizza pockets and now get more pepperoni.
Cool.
Excuse me, would you like to make a long-distance call?
You kidding?
No, really. Try someone.
Hi, Mom. It's Laura. Well, yeah, I can give you advice. Romances are good. No, it's okay when it's a fourth cousin. But I'm no good at the arm wrestling. Last time it was really embarrassing. Well, yeah, Rich would be nice. Well, I should snatch him up before someone else gets him. I think dinner and a movie is good. Yeah, he's still got all his own teeth.
There's always something to say long distance. What are you waiting for?
I agree, a cat is no substitute.
Well, tomorrow night, the brawl in the West continues. The Calgary Stampeders in BC to take on the Lions. The pregame show starts at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific. Friday Night Football here on TSN.
And that should be dandy.
You gonna sing the theme or what? Come on.
Not tonight.
No?
Maybe next week.
Okay, we'll wait till the late.
Friday Night Football tonight.
Oh, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Doug Flutie from the shotgun has time. Throws to the end zone for Kerwan. Can't hang on. Fighting there with Patrick Burke. The pass ball's incomplete. I was almost as inspired by that play as I was by your singing of the Friday Night Football theme.
That's pretty good, wasn't it?
Well, if you may say so yourself.
It was always a pretty good catch by Andre Kerwan. And for a young rookie, I mean, if you can make that play, that a nice pattern to get in behind Patrick Burke, I mean, you know, you look at little kickstarts to your career. I mean, you know he really wanted to be able to hang on. He made a good effort. Just couldn't bring it in.
Kerwan moved to wide receiver this week. Dwayne Dimitrition backs up at slot back. The Argos now facing 2nd and 10 from the 22-yard line. And Flutie once again to the shotgun. Take to Drummond. Flutie has time, has a man. It's Mazzotti. He's got a first down and then some. Still going. Touchdown. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease and gives the Argos a 26-1 lead with a point after to come.
You know, you remember the play that Pinball Clements could have gone out of bounds and he tried to run over a few guys? I mean, that's inspiring for guys like Mazzotti because the extra effort here, he gets away from the initial tackle of Todd McMillan. But now, I mean, he wants to get in there. And I mean, he's seen his buddy make the effort, and now he just dives into the end zone and make the great play to get the touchdown. And, you know, he's had a solid effort. And I'll give Toronto credit. They struggled and they stumbled in the first half, and they didn't play well, but to their credit, they've come and pounded away in the second half and, you know, totally taken control of this football game.
Mike Vanderjagt puts the point after up and good. Mazzotti with the rugby try at the end. And the Argos now with a 27-1 lead in the fourth quarter.
Dear Dave.
Johnny Harris, who would have celebrated his 25th birthday with a touchdown had he been able to hang on to that. There was nobody anywhere near him.
Great play by Johnny Harris to break on the football. The Toronto secondary's had a really sharp night. I mean, they only allow teams 55% completion rate. That's the best in the league, and you can really see why. Effort like Johnny Harris tonight, Adrian Smith and Donald Smith have had good nights. Lester Smith's come up in bliss coverage and made some good plays. So this secondary has enjoyed a pretty serious night tonight of coverage. I guess one thing that really surprised me, though, Gord, is Saskatchewan all night has been in drop-back passing. They really haven't moved the pocket around, and for a team like Toronto that's got those two tackles of Stewart and Waldrop that pushed the pocket so well of offensive lines. I'm really surprised. I'm not criticizing. I'm just surprised that Gary Hoffman, who is the offensive coordinator of the Roughriders, has not moved the pocket around in the rollout. In other games that I've seen and broadcasted of Saskatchewan, that's when they've had success, and they just have chosen to sit back continually in the pocket and be a standing target for this Toronto pass rush.
Well, McCallum to bunt. Now he'll take off, and McCallum, with his third carry there, now kicks it. He was 2 yards from the first down marker, and he kicked it.
Well, he got close to the first down marker, and the stop sign flashed up that he wasn't going to make it. So he said, well, I'm going to kick it. But
and not a bad kick under the circumstances. It goes out of bounds at the 25.
He's been involved tonight for all the wrong reasons.
Back after this.
Excuse me, sir, on the beach. Would you like to make a long-distance phone call?
Oh, golf guy. I need your advice. Yeah, I could see the pin this time. Yeah, I know I'm always in the trap. Well, no, because if the knees are bent, it's out. Feet are lined up. Well, I got a phone tucked in under my chin. I'm not really, you know, limber. I'm more of a, you know, limbo. Very loose, very fast, very nimble.
There's always something to say long distance. What are you waiting for?
Very nice. Right on the fairway. You're a great coach.
Well, now, you sure there's any fish in here at all? Because we haven't latched into one today yet.
Tired of sitting on the sidelines? Want to be part of the game?
Be offensive. Be radical. The CFL is back and more radical than ever. The action never stops. It's hard-hitting, high-scoring football. Get in the game. Wear the attitude. Come on, go, go, go. Woo! Be offensive. Be radical. CFL football. Get in the game. You having more popcorn?
Canada games continue tomorrow from Brandon. Track and field and baseball finals. It all starts at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TSN. Here the Argos with a comfortable lead at 7.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Doug Flutie on play action. He's under pressure, now trying to spin away. Flutie does and finds the pinball up at the 38-yard line for a Toronto first down.
Well, it sure took a while for Toronto to get on track, but when they did, I mean, that's vintage Flutie to get away from the rush, find Pinball Clemens, the league leader in receptions, and just took a matter of time before Toronto got on track. And they've had a very, very solid second half. And Gord, I would suggest that after this second half, they're going to get their 4 days off.
I think they'll get 4 days off. In fact, Mr. Flutie apparently after the game will jump in his car and drive to Boston. That's not a short hop. That's a good 12 hours. Correct snap to Robert Drummond, dropped the football. And Drummond gets close to the 38-yard line. All right, how far is it to Boston from here? I don't know.
No idea.
It's a long way.
I don't care either.
You'll never do it. I said, why don't you just fly? It's about a 45-minute flight. No, I want to get there tonight. Plus, they may have two-a-day practices. Matthews is talking about the possibility of 2-a-days next week, early in the week. But after this, he might just loosen the reins a little bit on them.
Well, they have 11 days until their next football game, and I think the way they've played the last couple of weeks, they deserve the time off. And there's, you know, this is getting to the dog days. As you get to the 1st of September, it's just past or at halfway, and you know, it seems like it's a long, long way to go to the end. And you know, sometimes a real good long rest for these players is just what the doctor ordered. I mean, I remember as a player that September to me, the first part and into the middle of September was the worst part of the season, because it just seemed like the season was going to go forever, and for teams that are struggling, it is a tough time.
Flutie completed there to Andre Kerwan, who comes up a couple of yards short of the first down. Although I guess in your day, playing for Hamilton, you have the Labor Day matchup to look forward to against Toronto, and that's what the Argos' next game will be at Iverwood Stadium on Labor Day Monday.
And when I played, it was a favorable matchup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As we won a great number of those games. It's not that way right now.
Terrell Ulmer on the punt return from the 32-yard line. He gets out to about the 38 before the stop is made by Mike O'Shea. 5:52 to play here in Skydome with an update from Edmonton. Here's Rod Smith.
Well, Gord, no one wanted to make amends for last week's debacle in Toronto more than Sean Fleming. So far, getting it done. Field goals at 26 and 30 yards. The Eskimos leading the 1-7 Hamilton Tiger Cats 6-0 in the first quarter.
Yes, the Edmonton Eskimos trying to hang on to first place in the Western Division. They go into that game at 6-2. BC second at 5-3. And no rest for anybody in the Western Division. It's tough up there. And it's tough here if you have to play the Argonauts. On first down, Kevin Mason up and firing as Rod Harris up to the 45-yard line with a pickup of 7 yards. Well, if you were with us earlier today, lots of good golf on TSN. The Greater Vancouver Open continues tomorrow from the Northview Golf Club in Surrey, BC.
And what an opening day they had. Tom Byram leading the tournament at 8 under par, which was a course record and a tournament record. And a lot of great names in that tournament. Payne Stewart's in second at -7. And Canadian Ray Stewart had a great opening round at 5 under par. So lots of great television on TSN tomorrow. We've got the Canada Games at 1 o'clock Eastern, followed by the Greater Vancouver Open at 4. And then Friday night football with the pregame show at 10 o'clock. So if you're into a variety of great live programming, TSN is the place to be.
Wow, the preceding announcement.
No, but you know what?
That's great. No.
People are going to say, well, Leaf's a homer for the network because he works for them. But, I mean, if you're a sports fan, which we have watching our network, obviously, I mean, that is an awesome lineup. A few weeks ago, we had, we had the tennis and we had golf, the ladies open from Montreal, or from Glen Abbey, rather, and then we had Friday night football. So some pretty serious programming.
I watched the golf from Northview today, and I didn't recognize the course that I played out there. Interestingly enough, I just remember there being more foliage and bunkers and stuff. They were always on the short little green stuff.
And they play a course, and they play it very playable.
Yeah, and when their ball's behind a tree, they don't just flip it out and play it from there either.
They don't have to just flip it out. But I mean, the course is in fabulous shape. The greens look wonderful today, and I think you saw a result with the scores that were posted.
Kevin Mason has it to Rick Walters. Walters fights his way for a first down. Wanted the lateral it there to Curtis Mayfield, and a flag comes down at the end of that. Right down at about the 35-yard line. 3:57 to play here in the fourth quarter. It was a fourth quarter comeback for Saskatchewan against Toronto the last time these two teams met, but not quite this uphill. And
frustrating night for Jim Daly. He's at 4-4. He lost a tough one to BC a week ago, and now he's going to go home losing another one tonight. They fall behind 500, and this team started off with a very positive start early in the season. And I still think on paper the personnel is really good. They've had not a great night quarterbacking or protecting the quarterback, and these things just begin to add up.
Mason is under a lot of pressure, gets away, up and throwing, has his man Rod Harris. First down and then some. He's inside the 10 and down to the 8-yard line of the Argo. A 30-yard pickup for Harris.
And I think you have to like the mobility that Kevin Mason has shown since he's come into the football game, and able to get outside the pocket and put some pressure on the defense, and that allowed Rod Harris to get open. And I can hear the fans in Saskatchewan right now. They're saying, start Kevin Mason next week.
First and goal. Mason towards the end zone. That's got to be pass interference. Don Narcisse was hog-tied down there. I mean, he was collared.
Well, there's Gary Hoffman, the offensive coordinator. He was up in the booth to begin this game, and now he's down the sidelines. But I don't know. It sure looked like interference to me at the top of the screen. Adrian Smith, there's a push right there. What in the world is that?
Even the crowd at Skyhome's booing. Even the Toronto fans are booing. Second down. Mason, touchdown. Oh, and a flag comes down. Don Narcisse has the ball. That would be his first touchdown catch in 10 games, his first of the year. But you know what? It looks like a pick. Can you believe? Poor Don Narcisse. He's wondering if he'll ever score another touchdown in this league.
He got his pocket picked on the interference, and then the pick play is going to cost him a touchdown.
Number 5, second down.
Rick Walters is called for the rub. You talk about two plays going against you. One should have been pass interference in the end zone, and the other takes away a touchdown. Holy smokes. So now it's 2nd and goal from the 18-yard line. And the Argos showing big-time blitz. Kelly Wiltshire drops him. Kelly Wiltshire with his 2nd sack of the game. And his coming out party in the Canadian Football League comes in Week 9 against Saskatchewan at Skydome. We've reached the 3-minute warning in Toronto. The Argos with a 27-1 lead on Saskatchewan.
Sure there's any fish in here at all? Because we haven't latched into one today yet.
Tired of sitting on the sidelines? Want to be part of the game?
Be offensive. Be radical. The CFL is back and more radical than ever. The action never stops. It's hard-hitting, high-scoring football. Get in the game. Wear the attitude. Come on, go, go, go. Be offensive. Be radical. CFL football. Get in the game. You having more popcorn?
Kelly Wiltshire having himself a pretty good night, but then again, when you don't get blocked, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, he comes right off the corner here, and the problem to me is if you empty out the backfield, you have nobody in there to pick up the blitz, you better get rid of the football quickly or have plays designed that allow you to get rid of the football. There is no protection there. When you bring more than 5, you're in trouble. So quite frankly, I don't understand the offensive scheme or philosophy right here for Saskatchewan. Any defensive coordinator in his right mind, if he sees that, is going to do exactly what Bill Bradley has done, and that is blitz against the 5-man protection if they're not going to throw the hot route. So, you know, I just don't understand the scheme that they're trying to accomplish here. That means you've got, as a quarterback, to get rid of it quickly, but they want to go 5-step drop and hang on to it. Doesn't make any sense.
This has got to be a first. It's 3rd and goal from the 26. Maybe the longest 3rd and goal play ever. Kevin Mason to the end zone. Is it picked? No, it's on the ground. Adrian Smith wanted to grab it. It was intended for Curtis Mayfield. And Saskatchewan will turn the ball over on downs. And we talked about how tough it's on the Green Riders. Next week, Saskatchewan's got Winnipeg at home, but then they run into a real tough schedule. 6 straight games against teams that right now have winning records. BC, Calgary, Montreal, Edmonton, Montreal, BC.
I mean, obviously, it's not going to get any easier, and I really think that they have to go back to the drawing board and decide, you know, what kind of offense they want to run. It to me, doesn't look like tonight it had a great deal of purpose. And, you know, it's easy for me to say when they've only scored 1 point. And, you know, the toughest thing I think Jim Daly's going to have to do is to go back and analyze this game and say, look, if we want to run these 5 and 6 receiver packs, we better be ready to get rid of the football quickly. Our teams are going to look at film and just see what Toronto did to us, that we were exposed, that we couldn't protect for this kind of a scheme, and you're going to see a lot of that again.
Well, you know, if you look at this football game, in the first half, Saskatchewan was presented with outstanding opportunities. 3 interceptions of Doug Flutie passes. The defense was able to stop Toronto on 3rd and goal from the 1, but the offense was simply not able to get anything done.
I mean, it's almost a redundant comment to make, but I mean, this is such a wide open league that if you just don't have the trigger man at quarterback, I mean, it's tough to have long-term success.
Robert Drummond, meantime, has once again been the Toronto trigger man. He dives out across the 35, close to a first down. He'll be a yard shortened at this late stage in the game. Don Matthews will send his punting unit back out on the field. So the Argonauts will improve their record to 7-2 on the year, and Don Matthews will be 3 wins away from becoming the winningest coach in the history of the Canadian Football League.
You know, Gord, I did a radio show earlier in the week, and I was asked about Toronto's record and the fact that they had lost 2 games, and was that bad? And I said, well, nobody likes to lose, and Don Matthews will tell you that he doesn't like losing any games. But, you know, this team had a lot of media and publicity hype at the beginning of the year. And I really think it was almost healthy that they lost a couple of games to put them back into reality and let them know that if they want to repeat as Grey Cup champions, it's not going to be easy. So, you know, you don't like to lose, but maybe that was good.
Rafael Greer thought he was gone, but he returns the punt down to the Toronto 49-yard line. That's where Saskatchewan will have the ball. 27-1 the score here. For an update from Edmonton, here's Rod Smith.
Well, Gord, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have answered back. Prince Wimbley on a pass by Anthony Calvillo, 69 yards for the touchdown after a couple of Sean Fleming field goals. And yes, the 1-7 Cats, they have the lead at Commonwealth heading into the second quarter. Now back to Skydo.
Well, don't look now, but the Tabbies looking to stir to life against an Edmonton team without Danny McManus and Darren Flutie. Eskimos expect both of those players.
I don't think Eddie Brown was playing tonight either.
That's right. Edmonton trying to get those guys ready for the home-and-home with Calgary.
Benny Goods, I don't think, was playing tonight for Edmonton.
Here's Mason, quarterback draw, who takes a shot, loses the ball, picked up by Donald Smith, and it'll be Toronto football at the 48-yard line, and Kevin Mason really took a shot. Wow.
Well, you get a great ground level look at Kevin Mason coming up through the hole, and watch the hit. I didn't see initially who made it, but it was 91 Demetrius Maxey that, you know, as Mason turned, Maxey was there with the helmet and really popped him and knocked the ball loose.
Well, the Toronto defense came into this game having allowed the fewest points in the Canadian Football League by a total of 22. And right now they've allowed just one in this game. So the Argos really putting on a defensive show as the end of the first half of the season draws near. Now the Argos from the 48-yard line back to the ground to Robert Drummond right through the middle of that defense. He's out across midfield, a pickup of 8 yards.
Isn't it nice that you have a defense that you can wait until Doug Flutie gets on track?
No kidding. Flutie had 3 interceptions in the first half, but Saskatchewan was unable to take advantage of it. Daryl Mitchell had a big 60-yard touchdown reception, and Robert Drummond has gone over 1,000 yards in the yards from scrimmage total with 129 in this game. And that's an important statistic. Yards from scrimmage, as opposed to all-purpose yards, which counts kick returns, but yards from scrimmage, perhaps the best measure of an offensive player's value. And now Robert Drummond buried by Bobby Jurison. We saw this last week against BC. In the final moments of a game that was out of reach, Bobby Jurison won't quit. And he simply continues to play hard.
He's been a great player throughout his career, and that's the way he plays. And again, you'd have to admire that. I mean, it's very easy to fold your tent and go home right now, but Bobby Jurison would never allow himself to do that.
And look at Jurison out there calling timeout now with 1:20 to play, and Bobby Jurison climbing the list of the all-time sack leaders. James Parker is next for him. And Robert Covington, the all-time leader. That stat started in the 1980s, so obviously defensive players earlier than that don't count.
I guess what I really like and how you measure a great sacker of quarterbacks is, you know, he has 138 sacks, but Bobby Jurison has done that in 187 games. And I think, you know, when you have that kind of consistency, that is really something to be proud of. And I know Will Johnson was a defensive end that had numbers like that, great sacks per games played, and Bobby Jurison really has had that. To me, that is the great measure. Has he been consistent? You bet he has.
Mike Vanderjagt, number 13, is going to take off again. And Vanderjagt has another first down. That's twice he's done that. Leaf, you, come on, you got to say it. What is he?
He's an athlete.
Who kicks?
Who kicks? But you know what? It's funny. If when he takes that quick peek, if the defense turns and starts running to set up a return, well, heck, they don't see him running. Now, whoop, they located. I think it was Andrew Henry, number 8. Yes, it was. But it's too late.
Oh, little turn at the end. High snap. Look at
that. That is an athlete.
Wow.
He is an athlete. Who kicks?
He'll be so happy you said
Look at that move at the end, too.
Vanderjagt, number 13, as the Argos steam towards a team record 13th consecutive home win. And with 1:12 to play, this one is in the bag, and the Argos start thinking about a few days off, and then the Ticats. The toss goes to pinball. Comes Flutie's block, and he does. Doug Flutie with a 26-point lead. The 5-time MVP is throwing blocks. Is he nuts?
He became a high hurdle for Lamar McGriggs because he didn't make contact, but McGriggs had to go over him, and he got the job done.
I mean, if you're Don Matthews and you see your quarterback, the franchise player, laying himself out with a minute to go in a game you lead by 26, get him out of there.
No, I wouldn't bother Don Matthews. He would say that's what we want the guys to do, to play 100% the whole way. And I know that wouldn't bother Don Matthews, and he would applaud it.
Toss goes back to the pinball. This time Flutie stays out of the way, and pinball fights his way for a first down to the 28-yard line. We talked about the Argos, about to set a team record. Don Matthews is climbing the list as well. Now 3 away from becoming the all-time winningest coach, 2 away from tying the Professor Frank Clair.
Well, I mean, you know, you ask Don Matthews throughout his career and talk about all the Grey Cups that he's been involved in as an assistant coach and as a head coach. I believe it's 8 Grey Cups he's won and 3 that he's won as a head coach. So 11 times in his career he's been in the Grey Cup and all this stuff. But I think the all-time winningest coach has to be something that's at the top of the list.
But you know, Matthews is so hesitant to talk about the past. You ask him about his memories and about the Grey Cups, and he simply focuses on the future. And Matthews has been that way throughout his career. He doesn't wear his Grey Cup rings. He doesn't spend a lot of time reminiscing. And you talk to him about the record, he's not thinking 3 games away. Right now, his focus is on this game, and then he'll start thinking about Hamilton.
What he likes to do when you ask him about these things in the past and all the good stuff, he just quickly turns his attention and starts to tell you about the new Harley that he rented for the month of August, and so you can ride around Toronto on. I mean, yes, he does, and maybe he's a little shy about it, I don't know, but he's a terrific coach.
Doug Flutie overcomes early struggles. The Argos win their 13th straight at home, improve their record to 7-2 on the year. Now they can turn their attention to the Labor Day matchup against the Hamilton Ticats. Flutie and company win 27-1, a defensive effort by Kelly Wiltshire and others that is almost without peer this season. You think about 2 great defenses. Edmonton's playing Hamilton tonight. The Eskimos shut out Montreal earlier this year. And Toronto tonight allows just 1.
Well, you know, Don Matthews, you ask him what he's proudest of, and you might think he'd say, well, Flutie, my offense, Drummond, Clemens, all these guys. He'll flat out tell you right off the bat he's proudest of his defense, because if he's got a defense that's ranked #1 or close to it in the league, he always has a chance to win games. And I mean, it was a tight first half. It was anybody's football game, but you know, when a team only scores 1 point, you're not going to have a chance to win too many games. So his defense came up. Kelly Wiltshire, who replaced Antonius Bonner, had some sacks. Had a great second half and second quarter. And of course, Doug Flutie, it just was only a matter of time before he got on track and had enough productivity. And your guy here.
Hey, Mike Vanderjagt, the athlete who kicks, getting his post-game due. And, you know, Robert Drummond made the comment after the loss to Saskatchewan earlier that it got all the talk about being undefeated out of the way. The Argos could focus on football, and focus they did tonight, beating Saskatchewan by 26. Back with lots more after this.